Alright, starting my recording of Feline Forensics and the Meowseum Mystery. My friend just sent me this for my birthday. I'm gonna see if I can get through this kitty cat mystery game. It looked very cute when I saw it on Steam. I've not started it yet. Here we go. Detective. Another long day. Street lamps are already on, and I haven't been in my office yet. Oh, are these the same character? I love that. He looks like just a silly little football head man in the game, and then in his dialogue he's got features. Chiseled looking cat detective. It's fun. I like that. So check on my computer. I'm sure I have at least a few emails waiting by now. If it's the commissioner volunteering me for more debriefs, I'll have to put my paw down. There's gonna be a lot of cat. Oh, he's got a cat tree. This is silly. We got the cat clock. Okay, let's check the computer. Alright, let's see if this old litter box still works. I just need to log in. And... it won't take my password. He looks so mad. Something here has my whiskers twitching. This might turn into a regular investigation. I'll start tracking all my leads on this bulletin board in case I need to reference them again. There's a laser pointer! That's silly. Unknown password. My computer isn't accepting my password. Did I just forget what it was? If I changed it, I certainly would have written it down on a note and put it in my desk. Let's check out the desk. It's possible I just wrote the password down and threw it in my desk drawers. Not in the top drawer. Surely it'll be in the bottom drawer. This must be it. Wait, no. This is just a standard department business card. Following procedure requires I enter it into evidence, but this might be more serious than it seems. All I found in my desk was an old business card. Not sure how helpful that's going to be. I guess I could give it a second glance. How do I... Oh, there it is. Right bumper. Business card. Oh, it's in the evidence locker. That's cute. It's good UI for this collection of evidence. Business card. The business card printed on quality paper, although age has weathered the once white sheen to yellow. On the card, depicted in black ink, is the department logo and general information such as the office address and phone number. Feline Forensics Incorporated, private detective agency, established 1994. 9 South Vita Street, Philadelphia. Oh wait, that's not Philly, it's Philadelphia. What? What in the BoJack Horseman city name is this? Office 215-555 meow. Fax is 215-555 per. Emergencies only, extension 1029. Okay. I knew there was something else here. Why didn't I think to flip over that business card sooner? The extension written here belongs to the department manager. I would classify this as an emergency. I should give them a call and let them know what's going on. Okay, let's phone. Now that I have the department manager's extension, I can give them a call about my computer. Good evening, detective. I hope this is important because I'm in the middle of dinner with my family. Apologies, but we might have a security issue. My computer's password has changed. I hate to break this news to you, detective, but the inexplicable is, in fact, quite explicable. This is the second time this week you've interrupted my wife's delicious home-cooked meal. I'm sorry? From what I could gather, you were on another milk-fueled bender. You told me you changed your own password. And this is the part where you tell me the password, correct? I would consider, but you also informed me that you hid it somewhere. Somewhere that only a detective of your caliber would be able to find. So get on with it, and ensure that not a single report on this matter is out of place tomorrow. Let me reiterate, do not call me again unless it's a real emergency. Click. I think if I just forgot my password, this wouldn't be as humiliating. Not my proudest moment, but I can make up for that, even if I'm technically this crime's primary suspect. Retracing my steps, following a proper timeline, and correcting any inconsistencies in the case notes will be paramount. Okay. So, Feline Forensics, the detective issue. Without the current password, he can't unlock the computer in his office or check his email. The detective left his office late last night, and at some point after, the department network was hacked. Next day, the detective attempted to log into his office computer, found the password has been changed. I've got a testimony to dispute that idea. The department manager did confirm that nothing was hacked. Just a bit too much indulgence on my part. I've only got a rough outline from here and won't settle for anything less than perfection. It's time to thoroughly investigate the rest of my office and use my journal to fill in every blank necessary. You've learned almost everything you need to fill the detective's shoes, so let's start putting those sleuthing skills to the test. Did you know you can rotate the camera to look around too? Or if you need to get around quicker, you can use the zoomies button. Okay, there's the zoomies button. Oh my god, I can rotate the environment. Oh my god. It's my old map of historic Philadelphia. But I don't remember all these thumbtacks in it. They're each holding a thin shred of paper to various addresses in the city. I think it might be impossible to know where to go with this lead until I have more clues. Okay. It's possible I hid the password within the potting soil of this plant. However, until I have a compelling reason to believe that, I'm not willing to make a mess of the hardwood floor. Okay. But let's check that filing cabinet. I have a few of these cabinets to keep track of my previous cases. It's not unlocked. Those records are confidential. Wait, I don't lock these? Not since I kept misplacing the key. Oh wait, so it is locked? I might have put my password in here, or another clue. I gotta figure out how to unlock that. Why would any self-respecting feline investigator keep one of these demeaning furniture pieces in their office? It was a gift from some old coworkers who thought they were exceptionally humorous. But it keeps my claws managed, and sometimes it helps me think. Let's see what we can find over here. Okay. How about in these shelves? Something over here to investigate? How about the trash? When you need to dig up the truth, you've got to act like an alley cat. Empty milk carton. Comically clean fish bones. Some cat garbage. Used yarn ball. None of this looks helpful. Wait a minute. There's a crumpled receipt, and it looks like I've redacted most of it. Nothing about the purchase remains, and only the store's address is left visible. Where could this lead me? Okay. Is there something over here to investigate? Let's check out the bookshelf first. Shelves packed with poems, journals, studies, and the occasional novelization. If I had some clue in one of these books, it would take me far longer to find it than it's worth. Wouldn't put it past myself, but I don't have anything to go on yet. Something over here. Let's check out the filing cabinet. These are usually just for keeping contracts, reference documents, and policy paperwork. I can't imagine I would have slid a note with the password on it into this drawer. Even under a strong influence of dairy, I wouldn't have done something so reckless. Okay. Checked the desk already, checked the phone, checked the computer. Oh yeah, okay, so that crumpled receipt did have an address on it. What was it again? What was on the receipt? Disposed receipt I found in my office trash bin. Most of the information on this has been redacted. The only elements left visible are an address, 13 North 2nd Street. Presumably for the store, and a string of numbers, presumably to identify the item internally. 13 North 2nd Street. Okay. So the address was 13 North 2nd Street. The slip of paper does have a phone number written on it. Looks like it's time to make another call. Let's see, what should I take a look at? Let's get on the phone. Give the number a call. Hopefully they're still open and they can make sense of this receipt. Good evening, Book Gator on 2nd. What can I do for you? Sir, did you need help with something? Hello, yes. Sorry, I do actually. This might be an odd question, but I have a receipt. I'm not sure what was that I purchased. I've been expecting your call, detective. Oh no, was I also drunken off of milk at this store? Care to explain why? You stumbled in, disgruntled after an argument with this devious plan. I didn't ask questions, but you warned me this call was likely. Oh dear. Now, about that book. Please tell me it's not something terribly inappropriate. Ha! Not quite, no. The book's title is On the Historical Development of Cat Burglary. Okay, thank you. That'll be all. Sure you don't need anything else, detective? No, thank you. As if I wasn't embarrassed enough as it is. Alright, let's look over the evidence. Bookstore clerk describe the book I purchased over the phone. If it's on the bookshelf somewhere, I should be able to find it now. That's fair. There's something over here to investigate. Yeah, let's check the bookshelf and look for the burglary history book. Dignity and Domestication by the great Dane Austen. Les Miserables by Herman Hugo. Call of the Wild by Jack London. These are the classics. Oh, here's the one I'm looking for. The question now is, why would I have purchased this book specifically? Is there something over here to investigate? Did he grab the book? Oh yeah, okay. Burglary book. Its title is On the Historical Development of Cat Burglary. It's a dissertation I apparently purchased from the local bookstore and then stashed within the various other tomes in my office bookshelf. The subject matter seems fairly heavy. Deriving any clues from it may be a challenge. Was that why I chose it in this strange pursuit to out-detective myself? Okay, let's check that book out. On the Historical Development of Cat Burglary. Study on the impact of declawing as an early cultural normality and the societal repercussions thereof, and henceforth. There's like a cat doodle on the front. There's a tail on the back. This looks like I was scribbling on this book. Don't open. Great job, detective. Place valuables here. Oh, of course. I knew there was something else here. I bought a hollow trick book. No wonder the bookstore clerk was holding back a laugh. With my cabinet key hidden inside, no less. I think we're nearing the end of this case. Good thing the trains will still be running for a little longer. Let's see what we can find over here. Got the key now, so let's get this locked cabinet opened up and see what we find. There's a note right on top. There doesn't seem to be any cipher or code either. This just looks like a normal password. I should try it and make sure all my notes are in order. Wouldn't want to attract any more ire from the department manager than I already have. Let's see what we can find over here. Okay. So, check out my notes. After returning to the office, the detective changed his computer's login information because it was lost to the memory of a lactostupor. Oh, before it was lost. That's the reason for this entire mystery. Locked up tight in a lone filing cabinet. Luckily, I haven't forgotten about it, though. Now I can open the computer. Let's see. What should I take a look at? Got the password supposedly, now for the moment of truth. Is it possible this has been a red herring all along? Is the password going to be red herring? Oh, it works. I'm logged in and I have exactly 0 emails that require my attention. It's a relief, but the department manager will have my fur if I don't get the rest of these case notes in order before I go home. Let's see. What should I take a look at? I gotta look at my notes. I gotta write what happened. Unbeknownst to the detective, the commissioner changed the password to his computer and hid it inside a cabinet. Furthermore, he got the password to the computer inside of a book that the detective recently purchased. Oh, wait, no, it wasn't the password to the computer. It was the cabinet key. Alright. Unbeknownst to the detective, the commissioner changed the password to his computer and hid it inside a cabinet. Locked it? No, he did change his own. It was just that he locked it. Okay. Aha, I knew I was onto something. While a fantastic treat, a night out at the milk bar might cause more trouble than it's worth. Oh, why is the phone ringing? Let's see. Look at the phone. Hello, Feline Forensics Private Detective. I'm glad to hear you're burning the midnight oil. Commissioner? Business, there's been an incident. Private property, they asked for you. I'm sending a cruiser. The officer will fill you in on the way. Case seems pretty involved, but it's still within my jurisdiction. You will go by the book, Detective. I'm sure you're aware that if you don't, your license will be on the line. Again. What a ray of sunshine the commissioner is at the side. It's gonna be even later night. Okay, new case. Evening, officer. What are we looking at this time? Detective, no need to be formal. We are headed to a fancy museum, so maybe I spoke too soon, Hawk. The one on the east side of town? What happened? Attempted heist gone sideways. Nobody was able to flee the scene, but an important exhibit has gone missing. Not sure if it was one of the thieves, another visitor, or a staff member, but they said somebody might have been shot in the process. Let's hope things have been kept under control since. They made it seem like a scenario was contained, but you'll have to make that call yourself. I don't know much more than that, but we'll be there soon. Here we are. Told you it wouldn't take long. Wish me luck. I have a feeling that this is going to be a long night. Good luck, Detective. If you need some help, give us a call on that payphone. We'll see if that's necessary. For now, it's time to get to work. This is a very dramatic statue. The plaque reads Honk, the Herald Angel by unknown artist. Instead of Hark, it's Honk. A depiction of Mother Goose's agents of peace. The biblically accurate sculptures are more compelling. This is not a biblically accurate goose. The Kreinberg Museum. Soundtrack is nice. Ah, Detective, thanks goodness, you finally arrived. I'm the curator of this museum and the one that called the police. Thank you for coming on such short notice. For crime, there's no such thing as short notice, and a detective must always be ready to put a stop to it. Yes, well, please work with the utmost efficiency. A catastrophe of this scale could be a disaster. If word got out that our most precious gemstone was stolen, who knows what would happen. Not only would the museum's reputation be forever marred, we would be the target of even more criminals. You're understandably concerned, but I assure you, I'll sort this out. This is far from my first case. Although, if my debrief was accurate, there was also an unfortunate murder in the process. Is that right? Oh yes, that punk. I just hate to even think about it. I suppose I should take care of that as well. But in my opinion, the sooner we get innocent people home, the better. A rushed investigation leads to sloppy work, so I can't promise this will be quick or easy. Regardless, I trust you to do your best, and if you could keep me posted on your progress, it would be greatly appreciated. Of course, I have several things to discuss, if we could. About the events. Go on then. Before... Yes. What were you doing? During operating hours, I don't do much except greet visitors, and today was no exception. On days we're particularly busy, I may mingle in with the guard station, but that wasn't the case today. Up until the argument began upstairs, nothing seemed out of place. The guard and I were here having an idle chat. The guard is this bear over here. Unfortunate that it couldn't stay that way. Could I ask a few more questions then? I would expect nothing less. Okay, so before it was just work, then during, certainly. What happened? Let's see. The guard and I heard an argument beginning upstairs, but it wasn't an immediate concern to me. I didn't want him to make a scene, but it continued to heat up on its own. Then we heard the gunshot moments later. Oh my god, a gunshot. Even with the accompanied sound of broken glass, my instinct was to make sure the guide was safe. Although, she was in the sculptures gallery. The guard found her in antiques, stunned. He called for me and I ran right over. And it was true, she was frozen solid. Startled by the cacophonous noise, the guard was concerned, but it took off toward the blaring alarm. Despite the chaos of it all, I maintained my focus on her. Eventually I got through, and you know the first thing she said to me, Detective? Call the police. Immediately looking out for the museum. Went back to the foyer, but the tourists and the artists were there, begging that I release the lockdown. I didn't know who was responsible for this mess, so I brushed them off and I made the call. Let's move on to another topic then. Okay, so then personal questions. Who are you? What do you do about the museum? Okay. As I said before, I'm the purveyor of this prestigious museum. Past that, there isn't much more to disclose. Do you have any associations outside of your work here? Family, perhaps? Is this vital to solving our case? Otherwise, I'd request that you inquire no further. Certainly could be. Fine, I do have a family. I'm currently separated from them, and I can assure you they have nothing to do with the stolen gemstone or the murder. Yeah, I'm gonna need to talk to your estranged wife and your kids. It could be very important for figuring out who shot someone at your museum tonight. Would you say your dad's a bad chicken? I manage the museum staff, exhibitions, publicity, funding, just about everything. Wouldn't it be easier to delegate some of that work? We simply don't have the extra revenue to accommodate that. While value to the human condition, a museum of this caliber is hardly ever profitable. I just noticed the statue on the right, monkey bust. I like the look of that. I'm gonna go look at that after this guy's done talking to me. My apologies if this is a sore subject. I don't enjoy the idea that one would look at what we do here and assume that this is all easy. It requires hard work and sacrifice, detective. It's not a sore subject, it's just a harsh reality. Of course, again, my sincerest apologies. Let's get to another question. Alright, the museum. Alright, let me provide a brief overview of the layout so you know what you're dealing with. Currently, we're standing in the museum's foyer, which has the only exterior doorway. In the east wing, we have a sculpture gallery featuring contemporary works. On the west side is where we display works of natural history, with geological and pre-civilization origins. The central connecting exhibit is the courtyard, just to the north of us now. Further north, we have antiquities, a host of several artifacts and art pieces spanning global cultures and eras. On the second floor, there is only one gallery, fine art, typically canvas. You'll notice there are balconies that look down on the first floor exhibits as well. I hope that's helpful, detective, but you can always reference the brochure map if you get lost. Very helpful, thank you. Do you mind if I ask a couple more questions before I go? I would expect nothing less. Alright, I think that's all of the things I can talk to this rooster about. I want to see this statue. The plaque reads, Meal Orangutani Krenikusi. I don't know what this reference is. Notes of anger, hints of boredom, a dash of really need to itch my nose. Oh, is this the woman with the pearl earring? Calf with the pearl earring by Johannes Vermeer Cat. You'd think the large ears would be distracting, but the earring still really draws the eye. I know this one. This one, I know this one too. This is like sunflowers, right? Vase with 15 sunflowers by Vincent van Giraffo. To think that he would go so far as to cut off one of his own ossicones. Oh no, he cut off his ossicone. If only he knew how prolific his art would become. Plaque reads, semi-colored vase by A. Weiwei. Do you think he dipped the vase in paint or just drizzled it on top? You know, I should have eaten before arriving to the scene. Plaque reads, the sheaf by Henry Muffleece. I'm going to assume a sheaf is some sort of shrubbery. Oh, there's all kinds of art. Plaque reads Gray on Blue by Mark Rackco. Deeper meaning of this one's beyond me, but in a good way. Plaque reads Nighthawks by Edward Hopper. What I would give to sit alone at the dustiest bar in town, just staring at a half-empty glass of the finest aged milk. Ugh, aged milk. Plaque reads Water Off the Back of the Duck's Neck by Jean-Michel Basquiat. An excellent and harrowing representation of the web-footed condition. Okay. Basquiat. The plaque reads Best Friend of Man by Rene Carrete. Oh, is this a dog? A bowler hat, huh? Not many can make that work. Believe me, I've tried. I like how he looks in his portrait versus the in-game. It's so round and fluffy versus having all this, like, detailed fur. Hey, did you pay admission when you came in? Oh, got your little security joke is all. Always good to meet another agent of Lady Justice, detective. What can I do for you? I'm hoping you can assist my investigate. Oh, absolutely anything you need at the drop of a hat. Just by answering a few questions for now. I need to be clear that even as the museum guard, you aren't exonerated here. Of course, I wouldn't have it any other way. Not only am I loyal to the law, I'm loyal to this museum, and the wrongs against it must be righted. Let's start with a few questions. You've got the green to go ahead, detective. So today, what were you doing? As per usual, I was hanging around the foyer, having a little chat with the curator. When things are especially slow, I might take a walk around the exhibits or get some fresh air, but I was feeling a little more lazy today. Oh boy, that doesn't sound too good, does it? I don't want you thinking I neglected my duties. The thing is, nothing seemed weird. It was a totally normal morning, afternoon, and evening. I understand, so none of the guests acted strangely. We get all walks of life, and I do my best not to judge one way or another, eh? So, nah, not much, and all things considered, this feels like poor circumstances to me, Detective. Why don't we discuss some more, then? Absolutely, I'm an open book and full of pictures. So, who are you? Not much to brag about in that department, Detective. Well, what do you do in your free time? I like to keep up with various TV shows and movies. That's not very interesting. I read a whole bunch, too. Talk about boring. Ha 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 ha. I don't think that's boring. I wish I had the time for more of that kind of thing. I used to say the same thing, but if you don't make time to enjoy things, there won't be much of you left. Just a couple whiskers and a suit. Let's stay on topic. Do you have any family, friends? Couple buddies from back in the day, but started to feel like we were worlds apart, you know. Wife at home, but no kids. She has some great friends, longtime friends, and they call me friend. I'm alright with that. I understand. Let's continue on, yes? So, what do you do? I keep the peace within these marble walls, a much more manageable scale than I'm sure you deal with, Detective. On the regular, sure, but for tonight, we have that in common. Ah, you got that right. As far as my day-to-day is concerned, we don't really get much commotion around here. Ah, no, I guess not, but we had more people around overall, you see. Hey, if all else fails, maybe this whole debacle will get the museum some attention again. I suppose anything's possible. Why don't we discuss something else? So what happened? The curator and I heard an argument upstairs, and I was ready to go defuse the situation, but the curator was hoping it would solve itself. In my experience, artists tend to hold strong opinions, so I trusted the curator's judgment call for a moment. I made my way into the courtyard when it heated up. The fight was upstairs, so I had to keep moving through. A few moments later, a gunshot shattered glass soon after, and I didn't skip a beat. Some habits die hard, I guess. I got to antiques, and I found the guide, stopped in her tracks. Maybe I should have kept moving, but I had to make sure she was okay. It's admirable at the very least. You're probably right, but I wasn't much help. Nothing I could say had her come to. I called for the curator since there was still the matter of whatever went down in the natural history. I got there at about the same time as the broadcaster. But she knew just as much as I did. The display case was already destroyed, so to save the diamond, or the victim, I was too slow again. If there was anything left to do, it was to call the police. Thankfully, the curator was already on the line, and things had mostly calmed down by then. Let's move on to something else. Additional details. Standing by for inquiry, Detective. About the alarm. Oh yeah, well, you see, the amazing thing is that it's real smart. It can tell who's who and do what it's gotta do, and real accurate too. Certainly there's some downside to it, no? Nail on the head, Detective. When it was installed, they told us it was a little slow. It doesn't make mistakes because, for a computer, it takes its time. Although, for a person like you or me, that's still pretty dang fast. It just has to double check, I guess. It has a way of being selective, only locking down what's necessary and trying to minimize panic in a chaotic situation. Come to think of it, the actual sound of the alarm was supposed to be one of the more severe stages of lockdown. The old guy who used to work on it could tell you more, but we've never seen it in action before today. Maybe try asking the curator. I think I will, but until then, a few other things. What did you do before? I worked as a policeman for a while, but not as long as was expected. You certainly don't look like you've reached retirement age. Ha ha ha. Young for retirement, sure, but not that young. Most folks stay in the field for a long time. Wasn't for me, though. I grew up with police dramas and was big enough to deal with bullies, but the concept of bullies is a bit more difficult when you're an adult. Nail on the head, Detective. Don't get me wrong, there were times when it was very clear. Just not always. Even instances that were clear in the beginning became murky down the road or in retrospect. Eventually, parting ways with the Force seemed like the best decision. I came into that conclusion sometime later. By that you mean it wasn't entirely your choice? Highly encouraged choice, perhaps. Tale that isn't too uncommon, I think. Could we discuss something else? I think that's everything I can talk to him about. Alright, let's see the curator. Ah, detective, I trust the investigation is going well. Of course. I have several things to discuss, if we could. Okay. Can I get more information? No. Okay. I guess I'll go check out the dinosaur area. Oh, dead body. Okay. He's Flat Stanley. This seems to be the epicenter of our case. The victim there, lying on their back, just south of the destroyed display case in the middle of the room. A lot of blood splatters across the floor, along with pieces of what appears to be stone debris. Other artwork looks to be unaffected, and a witness at the scene, no shortage of places to start. This looks like the Knives Out display. Collection of ancestor tools discovered across multiple regions. I wonder what the predecessors would think if they saw what we could carve from stone nowadays. They'd probably think those sculptures in the other exhibit are wildly impractical. The plaque reads mosquito preserved in amber, discovered in Southeast Asia. Who knows what sort of horrible things this bug could be carrying? Ancient plagues, mind control curses, dinosaur theme parks. I suppose we should all consider ourselves lucky this isn't the exhibit to break. Oh my god, dead monkey. Ugh, this has always been my least favorite part of the job. Victim presents male, likely mid-20s in age, 4 facial piercings, and wearing a leather jacket. Looks like he's got his ears pierced. Initial signs show 2 impact wounds to the back of the head. All things considered, minimal blood lost. And, nothing on his person. No wallet, keys, not even an ID. Poor guy. I'll figure out what happened here. Black reads, Enedy Plateau Cavern Painting, circa 6000 BC. Questions like, how could they have possibly transported this cave rock aren't even worth asking. Dinosaur. Plaque reads Tyrannosaurus skeleton of the Cretaceous period. Iconic dinosaur, but I much prefer the Stegosaurus. This is the pedestal where the stolen gemstone was once displayed. Let's look at the broken case. Seems like a classic smash and grab. Stones strewn across the floor, so it's possible a thief used them to break the glass case. Put this statue chunk into evidence in case I can learn anything looking it over, okay? Doesn't seem like there's any other incriminating details here, though. Nothing is ever that easy anymore, is it? Let's look at the placard. It's the pedestal where the stolen gemstone was once displayed. What should I investigate here? Black reads Optimist Diamond circa 1700. Where could you be hiding, precious little stone? Hi, detective. I just want to say that it's like so awesome to meet a real, almost somewhat famous Philadelphian investigator in person as the podcaster. Oh, and I absolutely cannot wait to tell you all about my show. Would you be willing to do an interview? I'm sorry, your show? I'm a true crime podcaster. It's called Tales of the Dark and Desperate, and this episode's about to go hella viral. Wait, are you recording this right now? No, I didn't bring my equipment. Ugh, what an absolute rookie mistake. Like 5 listeners and episode level amateur. By the way, you should seriously subscribe. You have your phone on you, right? Just let me look myself up and hit the button real quick. No big deal. I actually don't keep a mobile phone on me. Personal technology would be a distraction at the crime scene. Oof, that is actually so sad. Okay, we have things to discuss, so let's stay on topic. Like, whatever you need, detective. I'm gonna move over here so we can see her while we're talking. Okay, so let's talk about today's events. For sure. What were you doing? I was mostly just wandering around. But then when I got to this courtyard, I saw the tourists had this dope retro camera. We were just kind of going back and forth in old school photography techniques. Stuff like that was huge on Finstagram a couple years ago. Then we got interrupted by that argument. He handed me the camera while he tried to break it up from down here, but they weren't interested in listening. I see, I assume you gave the camera back to him at some point, yes? Oh yeah, for sure, but not right away because things really started getting out of control. Oh, in that case, I've got a couple more questions for you. Like, whatever you need, detective. So what happened? Oh my gosh, I remember it so vividly. If only I was recording, my audience really likes authentic audio. Oh, that gunshot would have gotten me so many upvotes. Blammo! That's when things really popped off, you know? I couldn't really see much up there though, and when the guard ran through, he and the tourists were so frantically scattered, I like pretty much tuned them out. Besides, we all heard glass break in the next room over, and I needed to get a first-hand account of things. Fame isn't for the fawn-hearted, detective. I ran from the courtyard and I saw the punk lying there. He seemed like he fell from the balcony. I rushed over to check on him, but he was so dead. And what of the diamond? It was already gone. I explained that to the guard when he came in, and I guess he went off to go search for it someplace else. I figured with the alarm going off, I wouldn't be able to leave anyway, so I just sat tight and waited in here. Okay. I think I have some follow-up questions. Like, whatever you need, detective. Only if you subscribe. Haha, just kidding. She really wants the subscribes. She's hustling for her podcast listeners. You mentioned he had already fallen off from the balcony above. Did you do any closer examination than that? Why do you ask? Thing is, he didn't have anything on him. Not even a wallet, no ID. Doesn't that seem strange to you? Oh, detective, that's because I, gathered them for you ahead of time, so you wouldn't miss anything. Is that so? Tampering with a crime scene can be a serious offense, you know. But it wasn't tampering, it was assisting. I know about the standard procedure, so I just, like, went ahead and did it for you. That's all it was, huh? Lying to an authority of the law is also quite an offense. Okay. I took his stuff because it would have been amazing promo material. You can't blame me for trying to fabricate a viral sensation, detective. And besides, what if he had been stabbed and I just needed to stop the bleeding? That logic doesn't even... You know what? I've got other things to discuss with you, and then I'll be on my way. Okay. How about the guard? He said you both entered the exhibit simultaneously, but this contradicts your testimony. Why the inconsistency? I don't know what you want me to say, detective. I, told you everything I know already. I came in, I saw the diamond was gone, I took a quick look over the body, and then the guard came running in after. If I was gonna lie, wouldn't it make more sense for me to agree with the guard? I'm admitting to having no witnesses. Huh, I suppose you're right. So, the diamond really was missing when you arrived? Yeah. Okay, fine. I'll ask different questions instead. Personal questions. Oh, totally. So, who are you? Oh, come on, detective. I told you about my podcast. Are you saying you didn't go and read my bio? During this conversation, I'm just gonna go read that while talking to you. If you're not a big reader, watch my daily vlog. That'll give you the general vibe. Well, it was gonna be daily, and then it was weekly, and now I just kind of post whenever. That last one is pretty old, so it'll be out of date. Okay, apologies, but I'm not going to watch your vlog, so please, if you could provide a brief answer to the question, that would be appreciated. Ugh, rude. I can't believe he's not going to watch the vlog. That's so rude of him. The least you could do is submit your questions to my word vlog. You can do it anonymously if you want. I'm sorry, but isn't a vlog just a video blog? So a word vlog is just a normal vlog? Normal vlog. Actually, never mind. I learned plenty. Let's change topics. So what do? I have a true crime podcast called Tales of the Dark and Desperate, so make sure you totally obliterate that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Wait, haven't I told you about this already, detective? You have. I was asking more about what you do in a professional sense. Are you trying to say that what I do isn't a professional enough? Ha! Gotcha. Oof. Too easy, detective. I work at a coffee shop, but that's so boring. Punch in, punch out, you know how it is. But after this episode absolutely pops off, I'm gonna quit so fast, or at least quiet quit. I still need health insurance or whatever. Of course. Why don't we talk about something else now? About true crime. You have quite a passionate interest. Why is that? I know a trick question when I hear one, detective. Of course I love crime. Crime solving. Crime solving. Do you have a background in criminology? That sounds like a question I can only answer behind the paywall. Do you know you can unlock great perks like this on my Patreon? She is trying so hard to get this one cat to subscribe and pay for the Patreon. That won't be necessary. By the long paw of the law, let's stay on topic. Well, you know, true crime is trendy, so that was a good start. But then, I don't know, it was genuinely fascinating. In all honesty, I'm pretty normal, and my life has been, like, pretty easy. There's people out there who have definitely not had it easy. Trying to step into the shoes of a criminal is one thing, but thinking about everyone around them, that's different. It's just easy to think, this wouldn't happen to me, until it does. True crime lets you really reflect on unrealistic situations that are very real. That's actually quite insightful. If you want to know more, make sure to wickedly whack that follow. Remember to subscribe to this Raccoons podcast, everybody. You really need the listeners. Obliterate that like button. The black reeds Amethyst geode sustainably sourced from Central Europe. Mother Goose's creations have such an unparalleled beauty. I guess that God is Mother Goose in this setting, which is fun. It's very cute. Okay, what's this? These look like some Pokemon stones. Black reed spiritual stones circa 1998. Legends say you can time travel 1 whole dog year with these. Whoa. That's like 7 human years. Or 1/7 of a human year. I guess it would go the other way for dogs. Black reed's mammoth tusk, circa 3000 BC. Imagine the size of the elephant folk attached to this. Elephant folk. Black reed's collection of ancestor skulls discovered across multiple regions. There's so much about the ancient civilizations that we still don't know. It really makes you think, huh? Black reed's collection of pinned beetles, originally researched in Eastern Asia. I'd rather not look at this too long. He doesn't like looking at the beetles. I don't like the scorpion. Everything on this looks kind of cool to me, except the scorpion makes me feel like my skin's crawling. But I think beetles are cool, butterflies are cool. I think moths are cool. Scorpions are scary and creepy. Fine art exhibit. Oh, another guy. Oh, look at this crocodile. He's got a mustache. I want to talk to this guy. The critic. I say, what matter of drab fashion is approaching me? I'm the detective sent to investigate this series of unfortunate incidents. Heavens, you should speak to your department about acquiring better uniforms. This is not a uniform. It's just one of my suits. Are you to imply that these are your actual clothes that you purchased with money willingly? I would appreciate it if we can get on to the questioning now, please. Well, relax. I'm a bit of a critic, but I'll do my best not to get in your way. I'd likely take a few jabs at you, though. How could I not with those shoulder pads, huh? What? But no, seriously, I'm on your side here. Don't worry about it. Let's just get started, shall we? If you must, don't let me stop you. I'll give you this one for free, detective. What were you doing? As you do in a museum, I was taking my jolly good time looking over many exhibits amongst the old-timer. When we made our way into the sculpture gallery, I decided to strike up a conversation with the guide. Of course, I can't resist an expert discussion. The old-timer has far less patience for that sort of gallivanting, so he took off upstairs. Perhaps I shouldn't have let him go off on his own. I don't know what it was that they argued about, but it must have struck a nerve. I think that's when our evening started to go south. Is that so? I've got more questions then. Usually I charge for this sort of service. So who are you? I'm a collector. I'm a connoisseur. Some would call me a cultural innovator. But that title is just far too garish, even if it is entirely true. And this is what brought you to the museum today? There are wonderful pieces here that I would love to call my own, but no, I'm not making any purchases. My accountant wouldn't like that very much. Correct me if I'm wrong, but exhibits at a museum aren't usually for sale. Spoken like a true member of the middle class. Everything is for sale when you have enough money. Am I to assume this applies to you? I've written for the most prestigious organizations. These scales are rubbed against the best of them. You should consider yourself blessed. I'm not more offended that you would even ask who I am. Then why don't I ask a different question instead? So do you have a family? A traditional family, no, but I have someone close to me, if that's what you mean. Would you not consider them family? I would. But that partnership was founded in a different time, and unfortunately there are still many similarities between now and then. Besides, when you become larger than yourself and people believe you are only how they sculpted you, there's a lot to lose if you betray their perception. If I'm to interpret your meaning, isn't the artistic industry quite progressive? For an artist at his easel, yes. For a writer at her typewriter, yes. For a musician with their instrument, yes. But for any of them with the need to live, to eat, to succeed, they must be ruled by money. And the people with money, money far above even my station, they do not understand the meaning of progress. So no, I don't suppose I have much of a family. Most of us can't afford to. Sorry to hear that. Would you mind if I asked another question? If you must. About the museum. Why did you decide to visit it today? Oh, the curator practically begged me to come and write about it for one of my columns. I visited before many years ago, and the article I wrote back then was an unbelievable success. Although, considering the terrible fate before us, I don't know that anything I write will speak highly enough. You mean the murder that turned into a museum heist? Is that it? Ha! No, detective. I'm talking about irrelevancy. And worse yet, the curator has resorted to committing the cardinal sin, the display of counterfeit art. It's just painful. What do you mean? That would be quite the accusation. They're duplicates, simple as that. How else could one acquire such a diverse catalog? In fact, I've already noticed two, and well, when there's two, there must be a third. That's just proper writing, detective. Right, well, let's carry on, yes. So what happened? There isn't much for me to say on this topic, but I suppose it began with the old-timer's argument upstairs. Sounded like he was in the fine art gallery. I started moving that way, but when I was just about there, I heard a blunt slam. I had hoped that the argument didn't turn violent, but I was quickly losing faith in that theory. Before I knew it, there was that wretched bang. A gunshot, with glass shattering not long after. I was concerned for the well-being of the old-timer, so I continued outward towards the balcony after him, but by then the brawl had concluded. The old-timer was clearly worn out. He was breathing heavily and had a couple of scrapes, but he seemed okay. I first shuffled him back into the fine art gallery and tried to ignore the rest of the cacophony below. It calmed down soon after, and now you're here. Yes, here I am. Why don't we continue that investigation, shall we? If you must, don't let me stop you. Alright. I love this gator. He's very funny, the critic. You have yet to acquire new attire. I do not approve. Apologies, but that's not what I'm here to discuss. This is kind of cool. The plaque reads, Love is in the letter. Love is in the litter. By Banksby. Art isn't on the paper or the paint. It's in a little shredder inside the frame, I think. Oh, I know this one. This is the wealthy people on the bank looking across the river. Sunday afternoon on the island of Lovelu, shot by George Shibat. Who's this? The old timer. Hello. Yes, hello. I'm the... Yeah, I know who you are. Fantastic. Let's get started. Well, I'm waiting on you. Get started. Then I'll finally get to go home. Standing on these floors is a killer for an old timer like me. Just a bench over there if you... I don't need a seat. You think I'm some... You know who I am? Look, detective, get to the interrogation so I can get out of here. Fine, yes, a wonderful idea. Let's just do that. Today's events. Yeah, get on with it. What were you doing? Am I outspoken, detective? Are you answering my question with a question? The answer is no. I am resolute, firm in my opinions, because I know they're correct. I still have to know how this ends. There I was with the critic. We were looking over the various pieces in the sculpture gallery. The critic wanted to discuss with the guide, so I let them be, made my way upstairs into fine art. That's when I saw him. All these disgraceful misuses of canvas, and the punk that followed soon after looking for a fight. He must have seen me wrinkle my nose at some painting, and well, he didn't know what tree he was barking up. And what tree was that? An old wizened willow, detective, one that weeps for the way things used to be. Intriguing. I believe I have some more questions. So who are you? You really have to ask, huh? Tells me everything I need to know about you, detective. Well, in this case, I'm the one who needs to know, so why don't you answer the question anyway? I'm a retiree of the art world from back when folks respected the craft. I saw success beyond my wildest dreams. I was in galleries, exhibitions, auctions for rates higher than you or your kittens would see in an entire lifetime. The point is, I was at the top, and I wasn't making way for nobody. You had to be cutthroat back then. Don't even get me started on this crowdfunding. Sir, for what reason did you step down from such a high pedestal? Couldn't keep up. Is that what you want to hear? My hands started going first, and then, well, I quit while I was ahead. I see. Well, let's change the topic. So he's just an old, retired artist. What do you do? What kind of question is that? Are you one of them half-rate gumshoes, detective? That's an offense to... In my advanced age, I don't remember too much of anything. And with my advanced wealth, I don't have to. That's what it means to be retired. Might do some consulting from time to time or attend an event. But from all that chasing tail there's for the young pups... After everything I've given to the art world, I keep on giving. What you think about that, huh? Good for you. You wouldn't get it, so maybe just start asking some questions with answers you can actually use. He's so hostile. About the museum. What about it? Despite a few amateur missteps, it is a respectable institution. What would you consider a misstep? Don't get me started on how much modern garbage they have on display these days. I understand art can't be entirely without business, but there's lines you just don't cross. Betraying the greats by hanging their most prestigious pieces next to these finger painters, that's crossing the line. Did you ever have any of your pieces on display here in the museum? That's a leading question, detective. Don't believe for a second I don't see what you're trying to do. If you must know, even at my peak, no, the curator refused to exhibit any of my works. I had plenty of other exhibitions, and we've always been on good terms. I don't hold it against them. So don't leave this conversation thinking I've got some sort of vendetta. That would be a ridiculous notion, wouldn't it? Maybe I should ask a different question. So what happened? Remember it like it was yesterday. Because it was today. Ha! I got you, didn't I, detective? This guy sucks. It was about an hour ago. How could I forget that? I'm old, but I ain't that old. That punk wanted to yank my tail, but when I barked back, he got scared. Pulled a gun on me. I had some bite left, and we got into a real scuffle. Took us out onto the courtyard balcony. He threw me into a wall. I swung back at him. He tried to take me out, but his aim was bad. Missed me by a mile. Must have been new at it, too. The kickback gave me a chance to disarm him, and then he ran off. Critic came to check on me soon after. I told him I was fine, unscathed. Then the alarm went off. But I didn't have anything to do with that. I'm glad you're alright. Let's discuss something else. Yeah, that's everything from the old timer. Okay. Look at the map for a second. So I started off at that bottom square. Oh no, I'm on the ground floor still, I think. Oh no, now I'm in the upper floor, yeah. Okay. So there's art gallery up on the upper floor. There's the entrance. There's the natural history section. And then there's a fountain area in the middle. If I go back downstairs, there's sculptures instead of the paintings. Okay, there's 3 more rooms for me to explore. Oh, I see. They've got courtyard exhibit. There's an info panel here. Courtyard exhibit, a foyer info desk, fine art exhibit, sculpture exhibit, antiques exhibit, natural history. Okay. Guess I'll go check this out. Look down on the fountain area. There's a pig with a camera. Oh, cool. Is that Horse Mona Lisa? The Mare Lisa by Leonardo da Viper. I want Arsene Lupus here as a prisoner with handcuffs on him for a week. This is a Lupin reference. Love that old movie. One of the few our feline family had. Plaque reads Marilinks Dispatch by Andy Warthog. My mom was always a fan of Marilinks. On special occasions, she would even get spots painted onto her fur. God touching Adam or whatever, reaching out to Adam. The Creation of Fido by Michael Flamingo. Considering the artist could fly, the chapel paintings he did are a bit less impressive. Plaque reads American Dairy by Grant Woodpecker. As a city-dwelling feline, I never fancied the life of a barn cat, and considering the expression on their faces, I'm not missing much. Oh, there's blood. There's blood here, and then it goes over to where the body fell over the balcony down to below. Looks like he was holding himself up on the wall, maybe? As he went, and he was bleeding on the ground. This is where the blood trail begins, considering the impact on the wall. This is where the two guests fought with enough force that would explain the crooked painting. Whatever happened, it's clear that conflict continued downward, but I'll have to keep investigating to learn more. Oh my god, there's files for every single character. That's crazy. So the podcaster lied to the guard. I can contradict that with the podcaster's testimony. I see. That makes sense. I could give him the benefit of the doubt, but by the podcaster's account, this just doesn't line up. I can't think of an obvious reason he would lie, but it would be best if I'd asked him directly. Okay, so now I need to go talk to the guard. So there's 4 different categories. The cause for alarm, the missing gemstone, the murdered guest, and meeting our suspects. Okay. So I guess I gotta solve the murder and the theft. They may be related, or they may not. The plaque reads Wolf Above the Sea of Fog by Caspar Darwin Frogrich. Such a mysterious figure. What is he contemplating? What tortures his melodramatic soul? I long to know. I want to go see if there's anything more I can use my zoomies button. Go a little faster. I want to go see if there's anything after this trail of blood gets to the balcony. Maybe there's more information I can gather. This is clearly important to our case, so what should I investigate? Plaque reads Miniature Maui Statue circa 1300. Another victim of this odd culmination of crimes. So the Moai statue fell down and hit the glass because he tumbled over the side. The blood trail leads here, over the edge of the balcony. It's dashed across the exhibit podium as well. The podium looks like it's been pushed askew as well, and the art piece is missing. Stanchions are unclad, presumably by force, considering the perilous angle. The victim is visible lying on the floor below. They were likely disoriented and stumbled backwards to their demise. Oh, planets, cool. Plaque reads Taurus figurine discovered in Northern Europe and Asia. I'm not blushing if it's a big ammonite. Plaque reads Ammonid fossil discovered in Northern Europe. Ah yes, the golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence, logarithmic spiral, Lord Helix, universal constant immortalized in stone. Wow, is this the scale? I didn't realize Earth was that much smaller than Jupiter and Saturn. Okay, so I'll check out this area. Can I see anything from up here? Does this just go back downstairs? Plaque reads, would you like to take control of your past or change the channel of your future? It shuffles the screens on the television exhibits around. They almost had me there. Bean. The Legume by Anish Kapoodle. The shape is so intriguing and its surface so reflective. Plaque reads Fairy of the Wall by Anthony Goatley. I could have sworn I've seen photos of this one before and it seemed much larger. True Art is Dead. Society by Anonymous. True Art is Dead seems like an overly cryptic message and simultaneously too on the nose. Go back down the stairs, go check out that room. Should be the last room to check out. No, and then also the center. So there's 2 more rooms to check out. There's a mouse. A rabbit. Oh wait, I should also go talk to that bear about the lie or inconsistency or whatever. Hey, detective, what can I do for you? It's about the podcaster. You saw her in the natural history exhibit. Did you suspect that she could have stolen it then? Initially I did, yes, but she was quick to explain herself, and it all made sense to me.
She told me she'd come from a courtyard just a moment prior in response to the sound of breaking glass and a loud thud. That would have been the gemstone being stolen and the victim falling from above. Considering the timeline, there wasn't much she could have gotten up to. I hate to break it to you, but she did have a few moments before you arrived. Not enough to steal the jewel, but she did steal the victim's belongings. Oh, no, you don't say. Oh, man, I knew I should have been more strict with her. I was just so concerned with calling the police and getting things under control. While your motives were understandable, this could have been avoided with a bit more diligence. Yeah, sounds familiar, Detective. I'm sorry about that. And thankfully, you're setting things right. I'm working on it. Let's run through a few more questions, shall we? Absolutely. I'm an open book and full of pictures. Okay, so did that update my... There's a statue piece I can inspect, and the victim's belongings. Collection of items that once belonged to the victim prior to his demise. Requisition from the podcaster, a fairly normal set of possessions, including a receipt for admission to the museum, a business card, and a bottle of medication. If I want to learn more, I should start by closely examining what I have and then ask around for other insights from the various guests. Business card advertises a true crime podcast, presumably given to the victim by the podcaster. Available to listen on Pear Podcasts, Fido-Fi, Goosegill Podcasts, Podcast Crack, Podsprout, Podcast Democracy, Podcatcher, Whisker Pod, and more. Support on Patreon. Stalker level gets all the perks for only $50 a month. You can pay for the stalker level of the Patreon. That's funny. This museum admission for 2. Who was he here with? This receipt. Why would he have paid twice? As far as I'm aware, he didn't come out with anyone, right? Since I can't question him directly, I'll have to ask around some more. So he must have come in with somebody. Otherwise, why would he pay for 2 admissions? Doesn't make any sense. The admission receipt is a conflict with this note. As far as I can tell, he did enter alone, but with 1 extra detail. He paid enough admission for 2. Anyone would assume this is just an act of kindness, but can we claim that for certain? I guess I'll ask her. Him, curator. Detective, I trust the investigation's going well. Of course, I have several things to discuss if we could. About the alarm. State of the art. Awarded on a grant several years ago. It runs through every wall, door, and exhibit. A bit Orwellian, but I do what I must. It took a long time to amass such a wondrous collection, so I'd like to keep it. I don't see any cameras, though. How does it work? That's the beauty of it. It's entirely invisible, reading paw prints on the surface of display stands, glass cases, and frames. And it recognizes registered users, so if I rearrange the exhibits, I wouldn't have to worry about disabling the entire system. Of course, the rest of my staff is also registered. Conservators, appraisers, or technicians get temporarily registered as needed too. The guard mentioned a discretionary response system. Do you know anything about that? Vaguely. For instance, putting the doors on lockdown is an early stage response. That atrocious sound is much later. I see. If someone stole an exhibit, a noisy alarm would alert everyone, warning a thief that their cover was blown. Of course, if the thief broke into an exhibit to steal it, they've already relinquished the advantage of discretion. In that case, the alarm siren acts more like a warning system to other guests. I'm starting to see this intelligence you mentioned. Yes, I hope it makes closing this case easier for you. Easier and quicker. Easier, perhaps. Quicker, not so sure. I think it's time to retrace my steps towards that broken display again. Before I do, I have some more questions. So, before, about the admission. Specifically, the victim earlier, they were charged for 2 entrants. Were they accompanied by someone? No, he wasn't. That's when I started to suspect he was up to no good. And I was correct, of course. Then why would he have paid for 2? It was no mistake. When I told him there was a charge for admittance, he said he would pay for himself and whoever comes in next. Just to clarify, he didn't know there was a cost to enter, but he was willing to pay for 2. Didn't think much of it, Detective. It seemed to surprise him, so perhaps he didn't want that to happen to someone else. Did it betray my initial impressions of his character? Sure. But he confirmed them soon after with all this mess he's caused. Does seem that way, but we can never be so sure. Do you remember who came in next? The nervous one with the backpack. I tried to explain the situation to him, but with all that stammering, I don't think he heard any of it. Intriguing. Why don't we move on for now? I would expect nothing less. Okay. So, about the critic. He said you had requested an article to be written. Could you tell me more about that? I'm afraid I have no idea what you're talking about. Is that so? He said this wasn't the first time. In fact, he said the first one did quite well. I'm sure he did. Why don't you ask the old timer about that? See if he can recall that catastrophe. My apologies if this struck a nerve, but for now I have other topics we should get to. Okay, that's everything to talk about with the chicken. So I guess I'll go back to the old timer. There's 6 different sections of this that I have to get through answering. It looks like I only have access to the first one. Okay. Whee! I like that this book rocks like this. I can start filling in this information. Earlier tonight, the blank in the blank with the blank who surprisingly had a gun. The blank in the blank, eventually the blank fell and the punk in the courtyard. And then he fell from the natural history balcony. Yeah, got that part. Earlier tonight, the old timer argued someone stole the gemstone from the destroyed glass. Let's see, led by the blank also included the loyal blank and the knowledgeable blank. Knowledgeable critic, the guard. Suspects and witnesses included the eccentric critic, the bitter old timer, as well as the anxious blank, the jolly guard, the podcaster, no, the loyal guard, and the knowledgeable curator. The museum to meet the other characters, so I know who stole the gemstone from the destroyed glass case or broken glass case. I'm here for you. What? I'm innocent, I swear. I'm here to talk to you. Some questions. There's no need to be so nervous unless you have a reason to be nervous. I'm innocent, I swear. Oh no, I was just making a joke, trying to break the tension. I've been told I'm very dry, so please accept my apologies. It's okay, I accept. Thank you for questioning me, and please go about your duties. I will stay out of your way. I appreciate that, thank you. Wait, I haven't asked any questions yet. Oh, rats, I didn't think you'd realize. But fine, go ahead. Okay. I'm innocent, I swear. Every time you say that, I get a little less confident you're telling the truth. Let's get to the questioning. Were you? Oh, you don't care about that, detective. I'm just a little mouse, nothing special, and like I said, super innocent. I'm sure you are, so you wouldn't mind if I searched your backpack. Well, why would you need to do that? If I haven't stolen anything and put it in my backpack? I was just kidding again. Why did you come to the museum today? I came here for a date, okay? And they stood me up. Is that what you want me to say? Don't you know how hard it is these days with the apps and the mixers and the socializing and the being attractive? Not to mention the texting and the flirting and then leaving the house, so don't get me started on having to go outside. It's dreadful, detective, it's terrible. The only silver lining is that you can find places like this that are free to go to get stood up. I imagine having to pay for that type of embarrassment would be even worse. Wait, never mind. My apologies. I'm sure there's another topic we can discuss instead. Okay, detective, if you just say so. What do you do for work? How do you make a living? I don't really make a living. I'm kind of unmaking a living, getting further and further in debt. Couldn't you tell from my distinct lack of sleep? I'm a student. Oh, I see. What are you studying? Game design, for the creativity of it, you know, and obviously the money. There's no denying that the tech industry is booming. It's just gonna keep growing and growing. A line go up, haha. Couldn't ask for more fantastic working conditions too. It's incredibly accessible, historically inclusive, diversity off the charts. Stability? Look no further. Problematic behavior and business practice? Not here. Literally nothing to complain about. Not a thing at all. Actually, why don't we talk about something else? Okay, detective, if you say so. There's some problems in the gaming industry that I think they're trying to reference. So what were you doing? How far back should I go? I came in a few hours ago and started going through a few exhibits. You can skip ahead slightly. Right, of course, totally. Well, I got to the natural history exhibit after a bit and started admiring all the artwork there. I could overhear what sounded kind of like an argument. I didn't give it much thought, though, minding my own business, but it started to get more intense. Didn't take long to realize it had escalated further than it should have. Everything spun out of control from there. I see, we should go over the details as well. Oh, okay, detective, if you say so. So what happened? I couldn't tell what it was about, but I heard that the arguments upstairs were getting physical. Bad things happen randomly nowadays, and better not take any chances, you know? I got to the foyer, but my suspicions are solidified the sound of a gunshot. I pounced towards the door, and as I reached for the handle, the place went into total lockdown. I was scared, detective. I felt cornered. Trapped. I retreated into the sculpture gallery to hide until things calmed down. I almost knocked over one of the sculptures. Thankfully, it wasn't too long until everything seemed under control again. And, well, that nervous one is definitely the mouse. The student. The guide. Greetings, detective. Boy, am I glad you're here. Glad to be here, although not necessarily under these circumstances. Happy to help, nonetheless. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be much help. I'm a bit of an anxious rabbit, you see. Oh, that's okay. We can work through it slowly with whatever information we have. Oh, that's quite a relief. I know a lot about being a guide, but I'm afraid I just don't hold up under pressure. Of course, I'll need to ask a lot of questions. I can't leave any stone unturned, but let me know if it becomes too much. Sounds like a great plan, detective. Let's get to it if you're ready. So, who are you? Gosh, I don't tend to talk about myself much. After a few years, I'm still the museum's newest employee, but I've been into art history for a long time. Interesting. How do you spend your free time? Oh, nothing super exciting. I have a sweet tooth, so I bake a bunch. Enjoy a good period drama. I read when I can. What else? Considering your line of work, you never pursued the arts? Oh, gosh, no. I mean, I did try watercolor once or twice, yeah, but it was bad. Bad, bad. Don't get me started on the charcoals and oil pastels. I've been sitting in my closet, a bit of an impulse. Obviously, I still study art a lot, but no, never really felt like making much. So what do you do? I'm the current leader of the education and guest relations here at the museum. If visitors have questions or they want a tour, I'm their bunny. Aside from that, I'm also the youngest member of the team, so I try to manage our marketing and outreach. The curator and the guard don't really understand social media. Nowadays, that's my least favorite part of the job. The internet can be a cruel place. I don't envy you. Folks make fair points about our exhibits, but they don't really understand how any of it works. They don't like that we keep art from cultures that aren't ours, and I don't disagree, but lots of people might never be exposed to those other cultures if we didn't. It's complicated. Most of the world is these days. Why don't we discuss another point? Sure thing, detective. So what were you doing? Before everything started to unravel, I was going about a normal day's business. More specifically, I was answering questions and offering tours to the various guests, but with varying success. It's not totally weird or anything, but the critic was the first to really engage at all. He had some questions about a sculpture, but then he started questioning my qualifications. Any particular reason for the change in topic? Maybe it was a distraction. We could overhear the old-timer shouting upstairs, but eventually he went upstairs to check on him anyways. I figured it would diffuse itself and they'd come back down, so I went into antiques hoping I could escort them out for causing trouble. That didn't go as planned, unfortunately. I can see that. How about we discuss what happened next? Wait, so let me look at the map. Antiques is... What's the other room I haven't been to yet? It's below the fine art exhibit. Oh yeah, there was a conflict there. Testimony of the curator. I don't want to embarrass it, but I think I have some evidence that can partially disprove this. What was it? The admission receipt. Yeah, it was the admission receipt plus the testimony of the curator. Could it be the student just stumbled into a bit of luck? Why lie about that? Maybe through the segment he misremembered. It could be that easy, right? Hey mouse, why'd you lie to me? I'm innocent, I swear. Every time you say that, it gets a little less confident in telling the truth. Let's get to the question about admission. But what about it? There's no fee, right? No, in this case, someone had come in before you and paid in advance. Oh, call it luck. That kind of thing never happens to me. So you weren't aware of who paid it? Nope, didn't think anything of it. Just went on my way, waiting for... Wait, why would he come to this place as a free date when it's not free? Well, it turns out the patron was caught, and unfortunately, it cost them their life. Detective... I lied, okay? I lied to you. I didn't come here for a date, and I do know who paid my admission. The punk, he was my friend, my best friend. So please, could you tell me what happened? He and another visitor got into an argument. Ultimately, he fell from the balcony in the natural history exhibit. It seems to have been fatal. Definitely lied about that the first time. Is he lying again now? About this? About him being his best friend? Okay. Detective, you can ask a couple more questions, but after that, I'd like a few minutes to myself. Of course. In the meantime, I'll continue to investigate the details of the brawl. I'm sorry for your loss. Okay, detective, if you say so. Okay, some more information from the guide. What'd you do before you were the guide? I just soul draining corporate office work. I went to school for business. In retrospect, it all felt like a scam. It's not like I was passionate about any of it, but it was safe. Are you passionate about what you do now? Absolutely. I wouldn't change a thing. At least no major thing, right? Sure, there are bigger museums and better pay, but I used to think about that kind of thing too much. I like the people here, I trust them, and they appreciate me. I get to inspire people's passions. Can't ask for more than that. I do want to ask some more questions, though, if that's okay. Sure thing. Okay, so about the critic. So they were asking you for some personal questions, but he described it as only a debate between experts. Well, I did say questions, but they were more challenges. Did it feel like perhaps he had an ulterior motive? You mentioned the possibility it could have been a distraction. I don't think he really had a goal. He was just being a curmudgeonly old man. That sounds rude, but true. And that isn't anything new, so I guess I didn't think too much of it, not until, well, you know the rest by now. I do, yes. Thank you for clarifying that. Maybe we should clear up a few other things. What happened? Honestly, it all fell sudden. I don't even really remember what happened. After everything had resolved, the curator said someone had shot a gun in the museum. Seems like a difficult detail to miss with how loud it would be against all these marble walls. Yeah, the noise. I think that's what sent me into shock. The next thing I remember was the curator's voice. They were trying to get me to do my breathing exercises, and when I was responsive enough, they left to call. If the curator hadn't prioritized me, maybe the diamond wouldn't have been stolen. You shouldn't feel guilty. It's natural the curator would be concerned for you, especially over some priceless rock. A rock that, as far as we know, is still around here somewhere, and I'll find it. So the guide had a contradiction. I see. That makes sense. This may not have been a lie, but it speaks to the critic's sensibilities. At least his testimony seems to line up otherwise. Oh yeah, I can probably edit the write-up here. Led by the curator, the museum staff included a loyal guard and a knowledgeable guide. There we go. The artist. Greetings. Hello, I'm the detective attending to this case. You are from Feline Forensics. Yes, I am. Good, you are familiar. You may. Ask me a few questions, that is. First of all, how do you know about me? Was it the tie? I tried to go with something more neutral. Professional. Insightful, even. Maybe it's my suit. The shoulders are very padded. Is it the suit? To private eye? It was not the tie, detective. So, it was the suit? It was also not the suit. I'm just aware of you. Generally speaking. Good marketing, perhaps. And besides, I simply prefer to be aware. An artist must observe the world. I hope that proves useful. Let's begin. Whatever it takes, detective. Okay, the artist is the reserved one. I'm gonna write that down immediately. Have you solved the case? Not quite, but I asked some questions that may help. I remember them well. What are you doing? My prior behavior has little impact to the case. I was just wandering around the various exhibits observing. Specifically, I was counting the bones of those hanging skeletons from the natural history exhibit's balcony. Then again, I did spend some time on the courtyard balcony as well, mesmerized by the pendulum's colorful sway. Considering my proximity to the fine art gallery, I overheard the argument as it began, and I departed the upper floor. Allow me to ask another question. I'll begin with the argument. I was nearby and didn't want to get involved. By the time I made it to the lower courtyard, I heard the gunshot. Naturally, I attempted to make my way out of the museum entirely, but the guard also came hastily through the room and bumped into me. I eventually got through, made my way to the foyer. Unfortunately, the door was already locked down. Imagine it was a result of the alarm being tripped. The museum had a sophisticated security system, it seems, and there wasn't anyone else around. When the tourist arrived from behind me, I told him we were struck. Even when the curator came back, they refused to open the door. The tourists passionately opposed their decision, but eventually stood down. We waited in our respective exhibits until you arrived. Thank you for the detailed account. But who are you? I regret to inform you, Detective, who I am is not important. I am unimportant. In the grand scheme of things, those details will not bring you closer to the case closed. Then why don't you humor me as if I were asking as a stranger, not the detective? I'm a washed-up failure of a creative amphibian. As soon as I had hands, my parents couldn't keep enough paper in the house. I'd hoard every marker and paint I could find. Clay was my best friend. My imagination was insatiable, so I didn't have time for anyone or anything else. That doesn't sound like a failure to me. Insatiable may beget experience, but it does not equate to talent. Is that a sufficient answer, Detective? Indeed. So what do you do? Since my art career became an artifact of the past, I found myself in several professions. Nowadays I work under a contract agency. They have me doing temporary work placements. Many placements are undesirable, unfortunately, but it pays the bills and I can keep a fair bit of time to myself. Do you still create art in that time? Yes. I don't believe I could ever truly give it up, but inspiration strikes less frequently. That is why I've decided to come to the museum today. Did you find something inspiring? I believe I have, but time will tell. The paint must dry, as they say. About all that paint, as I'm sure you're aware, but why are you so covered in it? This is my favorite coat. Are you suggesting that just because I got some paint on it, this suddenly means it can no longer be a coat? It was a bit cold today. I needed to wear a coat. I am not warm-blooded, Detective. Do you want me to be cold? I didn't say that, no. Besides, it makes the coat more unique. No one in the whole world has this coat but me. I could see the allure in something like that. Would you say you strive to stand out? I think most people do, myself included, and yet I frequently feel invisible. It is as if people just don't see me, even if I'm standing right there. It makes one feel quite lonely. My apologies, I believe I strayed from your inquiry. Don't worry about it. When I collected his witness testimony, it is neglected to mention anything about bumping into you in the courtyard. That does not surprise me, Detective. Don't you remember what I said before? Even with all this paint, people just don't see me. You did say that, huh? I suppose I didn't quite grasp the severity of it. That's not uncommon. If you have any doubts about my honesty in this situation, I can present my perspective in greater detail. I don't think that'll be necessary. Your testimony is plausible, especially considering the frantic nature of tonight's events. I think I'll move on to some other inquiries. When a gunshot was heard, he stormed off through the courtyard towards the sound. There's a testimony from the artist. It conflicts. He didn't move straight through the courtyard. He bumped into the artist on the way. While that might seem minor, the most minor details can turn an entire case upside down. Okay. I gotta go check this next room out. There was a pig with a camera. Just gotta reach a paw in and rustle some leaves. Oh, what's this? Something's perched between these branches. It's cold and it feels like metal. There's only one open end, like a piece of tubing or something. No, it's an empty bullet casing. I need to submit this to evidence. I'm sure it'll turn out to be quite important. Empty shell of presumably fired bullet. Found nestled within several branches of the museum's courtyard topiary, this bullet casing has no significant features other than its caliber. Considering the size, our most likely conclusion is that it was fired from a pistol before being ejected from the chamber. It's unclear what was being shot at and whether or not this was intentionally hidden. And there's a statue piece I haven't inspected yet. Chunk of stone that was once part of a museum exhibit before being destroyed. Fragment of an art piece carved from stone depicting the facial structure of an ancient species. It's believed that the largest versions were used as symbolic and ritualistic monuments. Despite their durability, there are not many still in existence, especially at this size, and now there's one less. Will examining it closer provide any deeper insights into what happened? While it may have further broken in the fall, it was certainly destroyed prior. This flattened bullet tip certainly makes it seem that way. Now that I've got the tip and the casing, where could the actual weapon be hiding? Fine art exhibit. Oh, just the word exhibit. Okay. Someone stole the gemstone from the natural history exhibit? Yeah. It was about the room, not the case. Suspects and witnesses included the eccentric podcaster, the bitter old-timer, the distinguished critic, the anxious student, the jolly, I'm guessing, tourist, and the reserved artist. I haven't met the tourist yet. Howdy doody, Detective Rooney. Hehe doody. Please call me detective. I'm the investigator on this case. How are you holding up with all the commotion? Just tippy topper, investicopper. A little worried I'm getting behind on my itinerary, but I'll survive. An itinerary? Are you on vacation? Yeah, ding dang bet I am. A nice long trip like I always wanted to. Just wasn't in the dealer's deck until recent. Call me a regular tourist, cause I know you gotta plan every stop. We should get back on the topic at hand, don't you agree? Radio, don't hold back. Okay. So who are you? I've gone by a lot of names, detective, but what you see is what you get. Just an old free spirit flying through the back half of life. That sounds quite nice, actually. Are you flying with any family? Oh, you really are good at this, huh? You always know what to ask. Of course, I've got a family. Little brother and his sty of piglets. Dear me, does their mother have her hooves full with them? She's practically a sister to me, too. You said you're traveling. Is it difficult to be away from them? It stings to stole, that's for sure, and I try to send a postcard every couple days, and I've collected far too many souvenirs for him. When our pop would go out on business trips, he'd always bring back little baubles, so I gotta keep the tradition alive. I'm sure the kids love that, too. Let's move on. So what do you do? Nowadays, not much. I'll do some odd jobs when I get back from this vacation, but past that, no more grind for me. That's a fortunate position to find yourself in. How'd you manage that? That's a tough one, cat detective. Long story short, my pops was into some particular business, at least until he died. I was a teenager then, and my brother was even younger, so fending for ourselves wasn't much an option. Luckily, Pop's work buddies took us in. When I got a bit older, I took over the operation he left behind. Decades later, we landed a pretty profitable contract, and the rest is history. I see. Did your brother follow along as well? Mighty heavens, no. In fact, that's what's keeping my eye on the truffle. I didn't want him to get involved. That's admirable. How about the business? Now there's a story, and I bet you don't want me to spare even the tiniest detail. Don't be afraid to abridge slightly if necessary. Ha! I'm just yanking your tail. Thing is, there's not much to say. I was a poor piglet, told to pick himself up from his bootstraps, and I don't even wear boots. All told, I worked hard, but it was a couple lucky decisions, and a better company, right places, and left times, you know. If I'm nothing if not a storyteller, and a good one at that, but I wouldn't want to put you into a catnap with the details, detective. A matter of details will be enough to distract me from the fact that you refused to answer the question, or did you think I truly wouldn't realize? Look, Whiskers, simply put, some of these crowds weren't the most savory, but folks with deep pockets. Pops put us into some circumstances, then went off and winked. Forced me into some decisions that I don't like having made. All that's important to you know now is, well, more curls in my tail these days. Wouldn't make those choices again if I had to. Won't press the issue now, but I hope you understand that if I have a reason to suspect its relevance, I won't have much of a choice. Oh, I get it. Don't sound so stern, detective. If you think I'm running from something or into another, rest assured the worst of it already comes with me everywhere. I understand. Talk about today's events. What are you doing? Let me tell you, much of the same I am doing right now, standing on my own two hooves, gazing at all these colors. Until the podcaster come on through and started asking about my camera. They called it such an old school vibe. What about it was she interested in? I don't know, but she was mighty excited. I let her look it over because I didn't see much harm in that. I took my eyes off of her when the argument upstairs started becoming an issue, but she didn't seem shady or nothing. That's when things really started to kick off. Much of it wasn't privy to. Those two upstairs were in a brawl and one of them shot a gun. Instinctually, I stepped in front of the podcaster, but luckily I didn't think anyone else actually got hit. That was when we heard some glass smash in the other room and the museum's alarm start blaring. Didn't think this sort of thing could still rile me up, but I must have been sweating something fierce. Tried to tell the gal to save her own fur, but maybe she was more invested than she let on, and I wasn't going to carry her out. When I got to the foyer, the artist was already arguing with the curator about letting us out. I guess the alarm put everything on total lockdown. They didn't know what was what. They just told us to stand by and wait for the police. Not my favorite game, but I sat tight and that's about all she wrote. How about your camera? Oh, this old thing? It's been my trusty companion for ages. Been through some bumps and bruises, but nothing a good buff can't fix. Had a hearty crash today, didn't we, buddy? Ha. You mentioned that in your testimony. What happened? Didn't I? I told you I let the podcaster look over the camera. When everything started going sideways, the gunshot probably spooked her and she dropped it. A real clatter too, second biggest of the day maybe. I don't want to ignore the obvious issue here, so why do you have a camera in here anyways? Surely the museum's policies would forbid it. Oh, don't worry, detective. I had it all cleared up with the curator. They said it was fine as long as I didn't take any photos. There isn't even any film in here. I guess that makes sense. Okay, so it's the Jolly Tourist. Everything's correct. Hooray! I've got the basic details of this case all sorted out and met every suspect. Now it's time to really get to work. Okay, so that was just sort of setting the stage. So I got another page of this. I think it's talking about how he shot the statue and then it blank the blank, blank the blank into a blank, causing the blank to be blank. When it blanked, the blank below, and then the blank. I think it hit the glass. Okay, I guess I'll check my evidence to see what they call it. Blank looked on as the blank accidentally blanked his blank, which took a blank when it blanked. Okay, so what else can we put together? Soon after, it destroyed the glass case because it fell into the natural history exhibit. Bet you. The blank looked on as the blank accidentally blanked his blank, which took a blank when it blanked. He retreated into the sculpture exhibit. Now in a sculpture exhibit, the student attempted to hide towards the foyer. The door was already locked, so he hid in the sculpture exhibit. Oh, but it's not the artist, it's the student. Yeah. Progress. How could he have shot the statue and then fell off of the balcony? That doesn't make any sense. Because if he had fired a gun, how would he have... The angle doesn't make any sense to hit that statue. What did the podcaster say? He was discussing retro photography with the tourist. Heard them arguing in the balcony above. She rushed to the natural history exhibit where one of the brawling patrons seemingly fell from the balcony above and the diamond was already missing. She discovered that it was the punk that she had fallen. It only took her a moment to search his pockets and steal his belongings. It was then that the guard arrived, to whom she explained the situation before she diverted back to the foyer to call the authorities. Interesting that they have motives filled in for all these characters already, based on our discussions. So the motive that they have penciled in for her is that to create a viral-worthy episode of her true crime podcast by committing an actual crime. Oh, she's got something else to say? Hey there, detective. I have some questions for you. Please keep all of this between us. Only if you subscribe. Haha, just kidding. So about the camera. You mean the tourist camera? Oh, that thing was like so nice. I wish I could afford one, but they're so vogue right now. Yes, that one. You mentioned looking over it. Do you notice if it had any film? Oh, it must have. Didn't I tell you what happened when I dropped it before? Neither of you mentioned dropping the camera, no. Whoops, silly me. Well, you remember the gunshot, right? Blammo and all that. That didn't bother me at all, I guess, but with the glass shattering, the alarm went off. That's what got me. The noise made me jump, and whoop, that was when the camera just dropped right out of my little hands. When it hit the floor, there was a big flash, so it probably took some sort of photo. Of course, I got back to him all in one piece, and before he even noticed, everything afterwards went pretty much the same as I told you before. Certainly an interesting wrinkle. I may have a few other inquiries to make before I continue investigating this. Okay, so there's some more information. I can get my paws on that photograph. I can learn more about what happened. I've never really been a fan of water. But if my suspicions are correct, I need to do what must be done. Paw into the fountain, detective. Here goes nothing. Oh god. Oh dear, it's cold and very wet. My fur is going to be uncomfortable for the rest of the evening. Aha, there it is, the murder weapon, a smoking or dripping gun. It was likely fired during the brawl upstairs and dropped soon after. I'll have to look it over to gather more information and then start questioning the various suspects about it. But I think they dropped the gun from the balcony into a fountain, which would be the punk? Yeah, the podcaster looked on, dropped his camera. Which took a photo. I guess I gotta talk to these guys first. Let's get to the topic at hand. About the camera. We've been over that already, haven't we, detective? There's not much more to say. Well, there's one particular detail I think we should go over again. You weren't using the camera at all tonight, correct? The curator would have had my head if I was. There ain't even any film in here. Then how come, according to the podcaster, the camera's flash went off when she dropped it? You should take a beginner's photography course. Just because the flash goes off doesn't mean it actually took a photo, detective. But if you're so confident in your theory, how about you check it out yourself? You can take my camera as evidence. As long as I get it back, it's empty, you'll see, but it's full of sentimental value. Make a note to return it once the case is closed, unless of course I discover something incriminating. And that should tell you just how much I trust you to do the right thing, detective. Here you go. Got the camera. Take a look at that. Oh, and the gun. A small basic pistol that was fired once. A small caliber firearm that I found submerged within one of the museum's courtyard's fountains. Well, it's likely that the gun was used and then either lost or tossed over the water below. There isn't much I can derive from the weapon alone. Who was the owner? Did they pull the trigger? Someone else? Why was it brought here in the first place? I should begin this line of questioning with a closer examination to look down the barrel of this gun. Oh, there's something there. Oh, I have to drop the mag out. Thankfully it's not still loaded, still won't be doing any harm. I can't gather much more from this, whether the chances someone here would be able to tell me more. So let's get to the topic at hand. About the fight. You mentioned that you had a pretty clear view as much as you could from the lower level. Could you tell me more about how that went? You betcha. I don't know why they were fighting. Whatever it was must have been pretty serious. They came out onto the balcony swinging and I didn't think he would have had it in him, but that old timer would not let up. The punk had that gun after all, and he probably was thinking there wasn't any room to let up. Must have got a step ahead, struck him once, and got a good shove in. Landed the punk with his back flat against the wall. Considering they both got hands on the gun and it went off shortly thereafter, it wasn't a sight I would soon forget. Interesting contradiction, it seems. So that's a contradiction of... I continued to escalate, leading the punk to slam the old timer into the wall, but he didn't let up. Actually, the opposite. The old timer didn't get shoved into the wall, he was the one doing the shoving. For having such pride, it's hard to believe he would willingly make himself seem weak. I wonder what he has to say about that. Now there's camera. The tourist looked on as the podcaster dropped his camera. When the camera fell. When it struck the floor. I guess I gotta check the... This is a traditional film-based photography camera confiscated from the tourist. An old-school camera with manual controls, lenses, and films. The museum has strict rules against taking photographs of any of the exhibits, but the tourist didn't seem to follow them. This presents an advantage for me, however, because it's possible this camera was used to capture critical evidence. I just have to extract it properly. Of course, I knew there was something else here, or rather, there isn't something here. Sometimes that can be just as important. I had to bet this is probably another case of someone's sticky paws. Okay. So she might have swiped the film. She's stealing more stuff. Hey there, detective. I have some questions for you, and please keep all this between us. Only if you subscribe. Haha, just kidding. How familiar with the process of photography? Not much, but you can learn anything on YouTube nowadays. Oh, I think I'd... Oh, you think it'd Uber boost my follower count if I did? Is that why you were so interested in the tourist camera? Well, I've got it right here, but with some bad news. It's empty after all, no film to be found. But he told you it was empty, right? You said that, right? So no surprises there? Of course, after all, photography isn't usually allowed in a place like this. Ha, duh, you're super right. What a shame. Cold trail. Anyways, totally moving on. And no, humor me for a moment. Let's say that he did have film in it, and he was taking photos he shouldn't have been. Someone's taking it off of his guilty conscience would be quite fortuitous, wouldn't you say? Fine, I have it. You can take the film. You're killing me, detective. No, I only took it to make some promotional material for my podcast. You gotta always be on that grind. And it would have been perfect. I would say I understand, but the bottom line is I have a case that needs solving. So we should move on to some other inquiries. But she's just stealing everything. There's undeveloped film, a photography film canister that once belonged to the tourist. During the chaotic events that unfolded earlier, this film was used to take an accidental photo when its camera was dropped by the podcaster. Seeing an opportunity to acquire big clickbait potential, she swiped the film, but I convinced her that submitting the film to evidence is more important. Now, to find a way to actually develop it and see what secrets are still to be revealed. Okay. I know this part. I can't get that top part yet, but then this is stole its film. Podcaster then stole its film. So I guess I don't have the word photo. Maybe he can help me develop it? If I talk to the tourist? Nope. Get to pleasantries, detective. I don't have all day. I'm sure you know. Let's get started. Do you know if the curator requested the critic come right today? No, absolutely not. I'm sure they would never ask the critic to do that again. The curator alluded to a previous article. What happened with that? I'll keep this story short since isn't mine to tell, but between you and I, it wasn't pretty. It was harsh but perfectly fair. I've heard rumors that the museum was in a rough spot, but that wasn't our concern. Despite tonight's commotion, the museum seems fine to me. Let's move on for now. How much longer is this going to take? There's no film in the camera. She keeps taking things for promotional material for her podcast. She really wants to promote the podcast. There's a critic conflict. Prior to the museum, intending to write and publish a critique by request of the curator with old-timer as a guest perspective on the article. But the old-timer said that's not the case. He might have been hoping to write an article about the museum, but that's two testimonies against his claim. I wouldn't lie about that at all. Perhaps I should pay him another visit and ask. Okay, some more information. You have yet to acquire a new attire. I do not approve. Apologies, but that's not what I'm here to discuss. I'll give you this one for free, detective. About the guide. Were you aware that the discussion you shared earlier has been taken quite differently by her? Whatever could you mean, detective? It was simply a forum for two intellectuals. Perhaps one person's forum is another's arena. Especially when such a debate is uninvited. Have you considered that? I can assure you that it was not my intention to debate her. Surely she's been through more treacherous challenges than I could provide. I'm not in a position to make any claims one way or the other, but I found the disparity in your testimony is important enough to clarify. And worth noting, if your honest response to criticism is defensive, then I suggest you reflect on why that is. If I was too utterly absurd a sentiment. That's my job. Now, I have more inquiries to make before I continue my investigation. If you must, don't let me stop you. I'll give you this one for free, detective. Ah, yes. Did you want to read it? I have an early draft of the article if you'd like. That's interesting, considering the curator was entirely unaware of the request that you mentioned. They must be playing coy with you, or maybe they're just embarrassed that they need my help to keep their museum afloat. But I guess you wouldn't understand, standing on the outside, desperately trying to look in. You're trying to change the topic. Did the curator ask you to write that article or not? No, they didn't. They didn't have to. I received an anonymous tip, and I decided to be generous. Fine, it's my turn to change the topic then. So about the old-timer. Picking down both of your testimonies, but there's a specific detail here that doesn't line up. The old-timer claims he came away from the brawl entirely unscathed, but that's not accurate to your remarks. Why? This must be the easiest explanation you received today, detective. Are you familiar with fragile masculinity? We've known each other for a long, long time, and when I say he's improved, I mean it, but there are things that still get under his fur. Whether this helps or hinders your perception of his motives, I doubt he even second-guessed a lie like that. You speak as if you know him quite well. Intimately, some would say. Understood. I think I have other inquiries to make before I move on. So this is a statement that says, with the punk presumably subdued, the old-timer retreated back to the fine art gallery where he assured the critic that he was perfectly unharmed. I think the critic's testimony conflicted. No surprise the old-timer would want to keep up his manly image. As we can tell from what the critic told us, even the old-timer was a little shaken following his bout with the punk. Skip the pleasantries, detective. I don't have all day. There were witnesses that saw it go down differently than you described. Would you like to revise your statement? I don't know what you're talking about. I've got nothing to hide, no reason to lie to the most pathetic authority here. Pathetic, eh? At least I would admit to having taken a hit, especially in a fight where I was the only person to walk away. If you're trying to say something, out with it. You falsified your testimony. The punk didn't slam you into the wall. You shoved him in an attempt to disarm and disorient him. He wanted to discombobulate. And in the moment, the only thing you did was widen the gap, and he was able to get a stronger grip on his gun. Fine, yes, I got too aggressive, but I didn't back down. I kept up the pursuit because if I didn't, he would have shot me. You know that's the truth, detective, so don't fall to washed up for defending himself. Even if he doesn't have a tendency to embellish. Justice has no need for embellishment. I've made note of this, and there's other details I'd like to go over with you. How much longer is this going to take? Okay. Oh, wait, is this talking about the old man? Oh, the old timer shoved the punk into a wall, causing the gun to be dropped. Okay, that's closer. They shot the statue, that's what it was. Stairs. Unlocked more dialogue when I finish the first part. Seems like if I can finish a section, then I get to talk to everybody else again. About the suspects. I met them all and started to establish profiles on each. There's something at the heart of this, and I'll find out who. Jess, congratulations, detective. I have faith in your sleuthing skills, so continue to work diligently. Getting late, don't you think? Injustice doesn't sleep. It takes time to shine a light on truth. Fine, do what you must. Take as much time as you need, but remember, the fate of this museum hinges on your ability to resolve this efficiently. Think you mean effectively, curator? Either way, we should move on to another topic. It's about the camera. I was discussing tonight's events with the tourist, and the topic of his camera arose. Did you not notice he had it on him when you arrived? Did not. Recording of any kind within the museum is strictly against policy. Why would guests come and visit if they can observe a rudimentary facsimile someplace else? I had a hunch that's what you'd say, but might reveal some important evidence, so I'm going to entertain the prospect for now. Fine, I suppose that isn't a major concern at the moment. I agree, let's discuss more important concerns then. So during the event, about the guide, you described her as stunned until eventually your efforts to rouse her were successful, and she told you to call the authorities. But she described the situation differently, that you failed to calm her and left her there unmoving in order to call the police. She said that, did she? If you recall, I also described her as selfless and to a fault. I'll have you know, she's like a daughter to me. I regret to say that she lied to you, detective, to save my feathers. For a curator to not prioritize the safety of their guests or even their exhibits, I believe she intended to maintain my proper image. Noble act and certainly loyal. But it was still a lie. I'll have to reconvene on that, but for now I'll have other matters to discuss. Conflicts with the testimony of the curator. While the curator did leave to call the authorities, it wasn't before successfully rousing the guide from her stun. Was she intentionally trying to throw me, or was she just trying to maintain the curator's reputation? Aye, detective, what can I do for you? Let's start with a few questions, if you wouldn't mind. You've got the green, go ahead, detective. About the artist. Do you recall having encountered him earlier? Perhaps in the courtyard? That's a tough one. The tourist was there, and the broadcaster... Oh, you know what? The artist was in the courtyard. Come to think of it, when I was barreling through to get to the brawl upstairs, I nearly tripped over my own two paws. Or so I thought, but now that you mention it, yeah, it must have been him that I was stumbling over. Such a silly thing for me to forget, isn't it? So sorry, Detective. I guess my memory was a bit hazy after the whole debacle got out of control. Apology accepted and understandable. As you know, that's not terribly uncommon. About the weapon. I recovered it from one of the courtyard fountains, as well as the 2 pieces of a fired bullet. I'm not sure what more to make of them, though. Well, for starters, this bullet most certainly belongs to that gun, in case that was ever a question. While I didn't have a clear view from the first floor, I'm fairly certain it was the punk that had their hands on the grip. Where'd you say you found the gun in one of the fountains? I did, yes. It's my current operating theory that the old-timer got some sort of advantage against the punk and forced it from his grasp. Makes sense to me, but isn't that a bit far-fetched? The old-timer would have the wherewithal to drop it so precisely? What if they were both disoriented enough that neither of them could really keep a hold of it? That'd explain the precarious stanchion in the courtyard too, eh? Actually, you're right. That does sound more likely. Now I have some other things I'd like to question you about. Okay, so about the guide. You mentioned in your testimony that you discovered her in the antiquities exhibit, stunned from the sound of the gunshot. As much as you know about her condition, do you think it's possible she could have been unaware of your presence in that moment? Oh, I hadn't really considered that, but I bet you're right. I can't reiterate enough how much I really did try to help, but the curators always had a lighter touch, so calling for them was the best call I could make. I agree. I don't think you did anything wrong. I just need to corroborate your 2 stories. So thank you for that, but I've got to make some more questions. The guard cleared it up. Considering her condition at the time, there's no way she would have known the guard tried to help her. As far as I can tell, this is just an honest mistake, but worth keeping the record straight nonetheless. I can confirm now that the gun was only fired as an accidental result of the brawl. When it went off, both men were so disoriented that neither kept a hold on the weapon or pursued the fight much further. You tripped the alarm. We put it all together again, Detective? I'm hoping you might be able to answer a few more questions. I figured I should tell you. He did try to help you while you were in that stunned state. Fortunately, he didn't know how to help, but he called for the curator to come take care of you. He wished you could have done more, he said. Aw, the guard's always been the nicest. If you get a chance, tell him I appreciate it. I'll bring him an extra croissant tomorrow. Sure, he'll enjoy that. I've got some more details to go over if you wouldn't mind. According to your testimony, they helped you to a point and then prioritized calling the police. Unfortunately, they didn't corroborate that. Are you giving me a chance to revise my statement, Detective? Okay. Yeah, the curator would never have prioritized the museum over us, at least not as far as I've ever known. They did help me recover more than I let on before, and it was my idea to call the authorities. The curator theorized that you were attempting to protect your reputation. Is that the case? I suppose it was. I know they come across as a bit prickly, Detective, but they do mean well. And they do whatever it takes to support us. Wish there was a way I could do the same for them. Does seem like a trend, but other topics we should also get to. So, who can I talk to about the film getting developed? You described in your testimony about the weapon that you disarmed him after he fired it. Why did I find it in one of the courtyard fountains? Perhaps you had a reason to dispose of the evidence? Want me to come clean, Detective? I'll come clean. I told you he didn't know what he was doing. Neither did I. We were fighting over it, and it was fired accidentally. Silent kickback disoriented us both. He hobbled off backwards, but I was a bit winded as well. When Critic found me, I was in rough shape, Detective, but everything else is true. I'm glad you could walk away and that you're safe. However, if you ever provide witness testimony again, please consider presenting only the truth. Luckily for you, it's time for me to focus on my notes. Although I should check there's nothing else to address before I go. The bullet struck a stone statue. Eyes are watching you. Let's get to the topic at hand. Where'd you find that film, Detective? Funny coincidence, right? Considering I've got your camera and evidence, you know, the one that you assured me didn't have any film in it? And surely this film wouldn't fit in. Would you look at that? It fits. Just right. Like you said, it's just a silly coincidence. If I have to spell it out any further, I might have grounds to charge for contempt. Is that what you're going for? Alright, you got me. Not only did I have a film in my camera, I may have taken a few photos. I didn't think it would have been that important. I was just trying to save my hide if word got back to the curator. You understand that, right? Obscuring the truth for personal gain? I can't say I do, although it's not the first time I've witnessed it. I mean, all's well that ends well, at least. To help solve the case, I'm relieved you found out. It turned out to be important, yes. Let's move on to more questioning, shall we? So how do I get this developed? Do I have to call the police department? Is that who's going to develop it? Found a reel of camera film that might be important to the case. There's equipment at the station to develop it. Could you send someone to come pick this up for me? Oh, okay. Here's the film. Do you know how long it will take to develop? Oh, I'm not sure. Somebody in the lab will take care of it, honk. Don't worry, after a while, we should have a photograph. I won't really have any way to let you know when it's done, but you can always call. Oh, I've got threads to pull on, so I'll do this. Put this at the bottom of the list for now. Thanks again. No thanks necessary, just part of the job. Good luck. Oh, I won't need luck. Let's get back to it. Now I have the word photo, so I can finish this. Yeah, finished it. I knew I was onto something. This case is continuing to clear up, but it feels like there's always another thread to pull. There's no use calling it a wrap before I know for certain what's happened. Maybe there's more dialogue now that I've gotten further. Let's look at the broken case. I have more information about the museum security system now, so I should probably take a second pass at this. I've been assuming the thief used the statue to break open the case because witnesses believe that's what triggered the alarm. There's no denying the heard glass shatter and the alarm blaring, but that doesn't mean it was intentional. When the statue was shot, it fell and it landed on the display below. The gemstone could have been ripe for the taking, unless it was already gone. According to the curator's knowledge on the security system, that leaves us with two possibilities. One, the thief opened the case, which locked the museum doors and the alarm went off later. Or two, the thief was registered users with the system and the doors wouldn't have been locked until their case was accidentally broken later. Unfortunately, there's no way to know which is true right now. Maybe the guard will have further insight into my theory. Get to the guard. Aye, aye, detective. What can I do for you? Start with a few questions, if you wouldn't mind. Look back over the crime scene with special attention to the pedestal of the stolen gemstone, and I have a theory I'd like to run by you. Oh, lay it on me. I believe that when the display case was broken, the gemstone was already missing. From everything you know about the security system, would that be possible? I suppose it could be, detective. That'd be quite the twist. The issue I'm having with my theory is how to actually prove it. Without more clearly defined timing, it's impossible to know for sure. Well, the security system has an interface you could access in our maintenance room, but I can't provide that kind of clearance. That's something you'd have to get the curator's approval for, since it's a private business and all that. I was hoping it wouldn't come to that, but if that's what it takes, I'll give it a shot. Until then, I think I might have a few more things to discuss. Detective, I trust the investigation is coming along well? I have several things to discuss. Yes, of course. I mentioned it while we were discussing the security system. I believe access could help crack the case if you'd allow it. Preposterous. Everything that happened tonight took place within the public space. No one had access to the maintenance room tonight. Tonight, sure, but what if this was all set in motion prior? What would you say to that? As far as I know, you can prove that Punk came in to drum up trouble, and some other opportunists saw fit to seize their chance. So what would I say to that, you ask? I would still say no. If I find another means of access, I will have to defy your wishes. If I find something important there, you could be held liable for obstruction. And so be it. I'll move along. Can you get me into the room so I can look at the security stuff? I've discussed it with the guard and believe it could be important to solving the case. Would you be able to take me there? It's staff only though. Do you have the curator's permission? For the purposes of our conversation now, let's assume yes, I do. It wouldn't matter either way. I misplaced my keys a week ago, so I can't get into the maintenance room. Curator said that when they were going to have a replacement made for me soon, but in the meantime, the guard lends me his as needed. Sorry, detective, not much help on this front. Maybe you could borrow the guard's keys too. That may not be as easy as you think. Why don't we discuss something else instead? I see. Have you solved the case? Not quite, but I have some questions about the background. I understand this is a stretch, but you wouldn't have any idea where it is, would you? You mean the maintenance room for the museum? I can't say that I do. However, I may have something that could help you find it. Really? I was mostly just preparing to vent about this roadblock. What do you have? I told you earlier about how the guard bumped into me. It appears he dropped his keys in the process. You can have them if you think they would assist you. Oh, wow. Fortunately, I can't use a key on a door I can't find, but I'm sure these will come in handy when I do. Feel free to return them once this is wrapped up, of course. I have no need for them. Yes, thank you. Will do. Allow me to ask for more questions before I do. I gotta find the door somewhere in the museum. Ring of keys, an unorganized and chaotic set of keys, each of them varying in size, shape, and style. I acquired these keys from the artist, but it's impossible to tell which of them is actually going to be necessary. The artist said that the guard had dropped them in during the chaos of the incident earlier, but it does make me wonder why he would have needed this many strange keys. The best I can do with these things right now is to try to get a closer look and see what I can find. What's on the keys? Oh, of course, I knew there was something else here. This symbol. It looks like a figure with outstretched arms. Have I seen that somewhere around here before? If I can find it again, that's probably where this key is meant to be used. This is already an absolute mess, but the lack of labeling makes it even worse. Oh, that's upstairs. Open a secret doorway into the back room. A pretty sturdy box of tools and fairly well stocked for the museum. They're all pretty fine shape too, considering the layer of dust on most of them. A good looking screwdriver. Never know when you'll need one of these. Okay. Let's check a bookshelf. This case has proven complex enough that I can't afford to miss any details. Besides, the bookshelf is organized far better than the one in my office, so it's much easier to find anything intriguing. Like this, a folder marked classified. I could never overlook that. I suppose it's not unusual for a museum to keep sensitive documents, but these are redacted so excessively even for a contract. Except one phone number? Weird. I wonder who's on the other end. Should I give it a call? Someone hung a few drawings on the wall here. Rainbows, dinosaurs, and rocket ships. Looks like the museum and an avian family too. Not much to go on here, but cute nonetheless. There's 6 people standing together in this picture, posed for some sort of occasion. The curator, the guide, the guard. I don't recognize the other 3. Might turn out superfluous to the investigation, but bet I can learn more. So the confidential files were a series of semi-redacted documents found within the museum's maintenance room. File folders full of paperwork. From context clues, they appear to be contracts, statements, transcripts, and invoices. None of these would be strange for a business to keep record of, but the large swaths of redacted information is unusual. There are no names or specific figures, but it does look like someone missed a phone number on one of the later pages. Wonder who's on the other end. So it's just a photo of an event. There's 3 people I don't recognize. Could ask around for more info. This feels a bit familiar, doesn't it? I hope I won't have to deal with 2 passwords in one night. Oh, it's unlocked. Quite the stroke of luck. Now let's see about the security system. Most of the data here is obscured, probably encrypted. I suppose that's how they can justify keeping it unlocked. It's a record archive. I can make out entries for exhibit openings, door lockings, and alarms being triggered. Unfortunately, user information isn't revealed. There's no clear indication of who or what these signals are from. There's an export data function, and it doesn't require an administrator's override. Have this data to the station and decrypted in no time. For such a sophisticated system, this seems pretty easy. Oh, because it's exporting to a floppy disk. Got what I need. Okay, so I'll take that to the phone and call them up. Alright, so we got part 3 unlocked. Okay, so I think that this is going to be conversely. The files will be decrypted by the police to learn more. So I need to figure out the cause for the alarm. Need to figure out about the photo. There's a financial fiasco that I just started finding. And there's a phone number, so maybe I need to go back to the phone outside and call. I have a screwdriver now. There's gonna be some more information I can gather. Let's go talk to them on the phone. See what else they can tell me. Oh, there's more information here too. The drawings in the maintenance room. Handful hung on the wall in crayon, I believe. I strain to understand why you would need to know anything about that. Does your snooping understand no discretionary bounds? This case has proven very complex, curator. I need to understand any possible angle or motive from everyone. Well, my son isn't one of your suspects. He's quite young, and I do not see him enough anymore. So you can prove pinning his scribbles on the wall is a crime. Don't ask me about it again. I found this old photo while investigating. I recognize you and the other museum staff, but could you tell me more about the other 3 people pictured here? Unfortunately, this is another scenario where my wings are tied, detective. I'm not at liberty to discuss the details of their identities. They were all associated with the museum in the past, but I can't say any more than that. I wonder how you get anything done these days with so much red tape around. you have something else to discuss? Okay. About these logs. I exported these from the museum's security system. There's no need to disclose this, but I thought it was the right thing to do. I'm offended that you would subvert my authority, Detective, but I'm willing to look the other way on this. I understand you're just operating in the best interest of myself and the museum, so I can't fault you for that. I'm operating in the best interest of truth, which is these shall facilitate. Oh yeah, silly me, in the pursuit of justice and all that, how could I forget? I don't see how you make much use of them when they're stored on the floppy disk, but do what you must. I'll do my best and you can count on that. Okay. Aye, aye, Detective, what can I do for you? Let's start with a few questions. Ending by for inquiry, Detective. Keys, what about them? Wait a minute, you have your keys on you? Well, yeah, can't you see I'm holding them right in front of you, Detective? Oh, you are, aren't you? It doesn't look like their developers gave you that in animation, but they're right there in stunning detail. The developers? Don't worry about it. That's not even the strangest part. If you have your keys, then whose do I have in evidence right now? Never mind, forget it. We should move on anyways. About this old photo. I noticed the museum's current staff, but I'm not sure about the others. What can you tell me about them? I never got my own copy of this photo. We took it at a staff dinner. Must have been a couple years back. Oh. That older fellow there, that's the mechanic, but he's passed away now. I guess seeing him again hit me all at once, you know. My apologies. It's okay, Detective. I just wish you could have met him. I think you'd have gotten along well. He was mighty grumpy, but he had a heart of gold, and I tell you, he loved this museum as much as he complained about it. I know the type. I'm sorry for your loss. It's alright. Time moves on, and so do we. And hey, if I could get a copy of that photo when this is all over, I'd appreciate it. I'll see what I can do. So there was the grumpy mechanic. And then there's their son. I should probably go call the police. / this phone number that I have. Officer, are you? No sense in making your way around, so here I am. What you got there, Detective? Is that a real life save icon? What? No, it's a floppy disk. The museum's security system uses them for some reason, and I have no way to decrypt it. Oof, you're right. This isn't gonna fit in the USB slot or CD drive, honk. One of the older officers about it. They'll know how to hack it. After a while, I'll call for an update. Sounds like a plan. I'll get these logs back to you as soon as I can. Unless my luck's run dry, this could lead to another breakthrough. Keeps getting harder, so here's hoping. Alright, so that's set in motion. Call that strange number. Thank you for calling Feline Financial. Unfortunately, our office is currently closed. If you are a current client, you may dial in your extension now and leave a message. Your account manager will return your call as soon as possible. If you're a prospective client, please leave your name, number, and a brief message. A member of our team will reach out soon. Thank you. Record your message after the beep. Investment firm, huh? I guess it makes sense for a museum to seek funding, but why all this secrecy? I doubt the curator will give me anything, and chances are slim that one of the other suspects knows about Feline Financial. But it's worth trying. Embezzlement was an assumption, but for the curator to pay off the museum's debts with the gemstone, that's plausible. Private investigation, private investors. More information for who's in this photo. Have you put it all together yet, Detective? I'm working on it. You might be able to answer a few more questions. What do you want to know? About this old photo. I see you pictured here next to the curator and the other guard. Could you tell me more about the others? Oh yeah, that's the historian right there. After I was hired, it wasn't too long before she left. In that short time, I looked up to her vast expertise. It was like she just knew everything about art history, about culture, anthropology. Do you know why they decided to part ways with the museum? No, I don't. It was unceremonious. In fact, came in for my shift one day. I realized I'd been a couple weeks since I saw them last. Okay. I'll keep asking around. Until then, would you mind talking with me about some other things? The historian. Salutations, Detective. Have you solved the case? Not quite, but I have some questions that may help. Affirmative. I doubt you would know much about it, but do you recognize anyone other than the museum staff pictured here? The gentleman there looks like some kind of technician. Does that help, Detective? I can't operate solely on assumptions and impressions, but that's the thought that counts. If you learn more, I would be interested to know. I'll do my best, but I have a couple more topics to discuss before I can continue the investigation. Whatever it takes, detective. About this old photo. I was wondering if you could tell me more about this person pictured here, the historian? Sure can. She was an absolute fount of knowledge. No one could shut down the critics' incessant debating faster. Ha! Do you know why they parted with this museum? Aside from being destined for greater heights than this, I always heard it was a budget issue. If you want my opinion, the best thing that could have happened to them. I would have been surprised if they volunteered. Interesting. Do you know what's happened to them since? I heard they were heading to a department at one of those national museums. I see. Unlikely to be connected by tonight's events, then. Let's see if I have any more questions for you. Yeah, that's all I got. You have yet to acquire new attire? I do not approve. Apologies, but that's not what I'm here to discuss. My perspective is quite valuable. About this old photo, you wouldn't happen to recognize any of the people pictured here, would you? Aside from the obvious? Oh dear, now that's a face I didn't expect to see when I woke up this morning. Oh, and who's that? The gentleman on the right side. He's an investor. One of unscrupulous morals. We've only crossed paths a couple of times, and I'd consider myself lucky to never do so again. Quite a strong opinion. Well, I have other inquiries to make before I go. About the investor. Must be a detective. I simply have nothing positive to say. I have reason to believe that he may be intertwined with this, so I'm doing my due diligence, that's all. Intertwined? It wouldn't surprise me if he had an icy grip on it, detective. That's his business. That cursed Fennec Financial preys on downtrodden artists, failed institutions, and any client they can swindle. Of course, everything starts to look up in the beginning, and you put even more trust in them. The good days won't stop. Then it is a miscalculation, an unfortunate circumstance, and before you know it, you're in more debt than you can imagine. Only one way out. Trust the process. A process designed to eat you alive forever. I have nothing positive to say on the matter. I may regret asking, but I must. Is this a personal matter for you? Art is personal. It's human, wonderfully flawed, and those corporate suits only understand cold, destructive, and disturbingly calculated. Can't say I understand, but I'd like to think I can empathize. Feels a little strange dialogue that this alligator man is saying that things are human. It's not really clear that there are humans in this world. So it's a shady investor. Nice. Okay, so it seems the contract between the museum and the investment firm put the museum into debt, but nothing was. A key opened the door to the back room. It was hidden by the sculpture exhibit. There was an old computer. Oh, the logs will be analyzed by the police. There's a contract between the museum and the blank put the museum into debt, and nothing was blank. Does anyone else have anything to say? I have reasons to believe tonight's events may have been influenced by outside forces, and these documents have strengthened that suspicion. Unfortunately, there isn't much left for me to investigate. Could you tell me more about them? I'm afraid you're wasting your time and mine. Those are very standard for an institution such as this one. I go through the effort of redacting so much of them. It was the investment firm's policy, so I obliged. They keep the museum afloat, so I didn't argue, nor did I believe there was a reason to. Seems extreme for what you're describing, but this isn't my specialty, so I'll take your word for it. I'd like to get your word on something else if you wouldn't mind. Strange contract, an old photograph, strange contract, and the alarm accessible from the logs on the computer. The sculpture hid the door to the back room on the sculpture balcony. It was opened by the key from the guard. Whoa, what the heck? No translation found for Z_KW_PUR museum? What? Something weird happened there. The sculpture hid the door to the back room on the upper floor of the sculpture exhibit. Anything else I can gather? Salutations, detective. Have you solved the case? Affirmative. About this old photo. hate to be too persistent on the matter, but are you positive you don't know anyone pictured here? I've given that some thought, and I feel guilty. Would you let me to be honest with you? I don't know why I couldn't bring myself to say so, but the technician I pointed out there, he was my father. Oh, I see. I'm sorry for your loss. I respect your kind words, but they are not required. Some of my early memories are within this museum before the curator took over. He loved this place, even with how infrequently he acknowledged it. I knew that he meant what he said. There was no reason to ever retire. Oh, he meant it when he said that there's no reason to retire? I spoke to the guard about him, and he said as much. It sounds like he was well respected. Yes, I believe he was, but after many years, retirement was chosen for him. He didn't live long after that. He would always say, if I sit down now, I'm not going to be able to stand back up. But I never took that literally. My dearest apologies. I didn't mean to open all wounds. I know it can be hard. You wouldn't mind if I move on to another topic before I go? Whatever it takes, detective. Okay. So there's a new word. Father. Any further information? Oh, I think I've got all the information now. Okay. It's just computer on the desk. Oh. It's just very literal. Instead of it being logs on the computer, it's computer on the desk. Seems to be how this works. Is if there's two things wrong, it goes to yellow. So the key from the guard. Let's say it's the gun from the artist. The key from the artist. Oh, so no, it's just one was wrong. Okay. An alternate solution for any section of any puzzle? Huh. I had the gist of this correct, but I don't understand why it let me do artist but not guard, because I got the key from the guard. It seems a contract between the curator and the investor put the museum into debt, but nothing. Just, did they give me more dialogue about that was written down? It seems the contract between the curator and the investor put the museum into debt, but nothing was. We need to look at the evidence again. Series of semi-redacted documents found within the museum's maintenance room. The file folder is full of paperwork. From context clues, they appear to be contracts, statements, transcripts, and invoices. None of these would be strange for a business to keep record of, but the large swaths of redacted information is certainly unusual. There are no names or specific figures, but it seems someone left a phone number for an investment firm revealed. As it turns out, the last-ditch effort to save the museum, the curator signed a predatory deal with the corporate devil. The contract would ultimately send the museum further into ruin. The curator to even more extreme means to make things right. I don't understand what this is asking. Contract between the curator and the investor. Maybe I have some of the words mixed up. Okay, so it is investor and curator. And is it curator gets put into debt? No, it puts the museum into debt. So investor and the curator, the museum into debt. But nothing was revealed. Oh, that's what it was, because they redacted everything. Okay. So it was an agreement between the curator and the investor. I had the concept right, like that he just took out a contract, made an arrangement for debt with an investor, and then just put the museum into debt. But it was all shady and redacted. That took way too long. Only the best cases have secret rooms and mysterious figures. This one even has redacted documents. It doesn't get better than that. Let's keep digging. If we're exceptionally lucky, we'll uncover something paranormal too. Come to think of it, I should check with the officer again about that film. It might be developed by now. Let's go give the guy a call. Who should I call? Let's call the police department. Just checking up on that film I had you pick up. How's that going? Oh yeah, good news. I just got the word from the lab that it's done. I'll be right over to show you. Can't you just describe it? Good evening again, detective. You know, you could have just told me the important details over the phone. You didn't have to drive out here again. I like this bouncy car animation. That's cute. Ah, but a picture's worth 1,000 words. Haven't you ever heard that, Detective Honk? As for this one, the angle is a bit skewed, and it looks like it wasn't taken... It was taken in motion, so it's a bit blurry, but if you look right here, at the tail, a thin white tail, the student in the sculpture gallery. According to his testimony, he would have been in the foyer when the photo was taken. That was a lie. Couldn't have asked for a better breakthrough, officer. Really was a huge help. I need to get back in there post-haste. Go for it, detective. And if you need anything else, don't hesitate to call again. Yes, everything's coming together now. New lie just dropped. That's all that ends well, though. The film was just the one thing I needed to crack this case wide open. Our film is done now. Back to the exhibit. Why have you been lying to me, Mouse? What are you lying to me for? I'm innocent, I swear. Every time you say that, I get a little less confident you're telling the truth. Alright. So, about the photo, would you mind taking a look at it and tell me what you see? Well, I don't really see much, Detective. It's pretty blurry. What about right here? Does this thin white tail look familiar to you? Are you trying to say that's my tail? I guess it does look pretty similar, but what of it? By all my calculations, this would put you in a pretty interesting place at a pretty interesting time. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure, you can see my tail, but there's no way to tell what's going on out of frame. As much as I'd like to deny it, the implication is too strong. I'm giving you a chance to confess before it's too late. I have nothing to confess. I'm innocent. It's until proven guilty, isn't it? You're right, so I'll just have to prove it. Well, I have other questions. Okay, Detective. Let's see what other evidence I can gather. Hey there, Detective. Okay, so about that film. Sent it to the station, had it developed. Most of the photos weren't relevant, but this one. Do you notice anything interesting about it? I hate to say this, Detective, because I don't want to burst your bubble or anything, but it's real blurry. That's because it was taken in motion, falling from someone's frightened paws. Oh, I see what you did there. Is this your way of telling me I was holding the back important evidence? You super can't blame me though, right? Like, I could have gone so viral with that film. Actually, what are the chances I can get a copy? You do that for me, wouldn't you? I've already turned the film over to the police, so no, I don't think I'll be doing that. Okay, so we're on the fourth section of this filling in the blanks puzzle. The photograph proves I should investigate every potential hiding place. This is one prime suspect. And with the screwdriver, I should be able to... Haha, gasp. I found it. The Optimist Diamond. And in an air duct. Be careful now, this gemstone's worth more than all 9 of my lives. Immediately into evidence with you. What's this? There's something else in here? A rolled canvas? Wait a second, even I recognize this, but isn't this supposed to be hanging in the fine art gallery? Oh no, I've got the sinking feeling this case isn't as close as I thought. I should show this to an expert I can trust. Hey, guide. About this artwork. I discovered it under strange circumstances, so would you mind looking over it for me? Oh, I hope these strange circumstances weren't taking it off the wall and out of its frame. No, not as simple as that. The exhibit is still hanging right where you last saw it. That's because... the original's still hanging there because this one's a counterfeit. The inconsistencies are subtle, especially in this style. Why would something like this be here, Detective? You know, don't you? I have my suspicions, but nothing definite yet. I don't like this one bit. Find out more, you'll tell me, right? Only what I'm at liberty to disclose, but I'll continue to rely on your expertise as needed. Well, if I were you, I'd look over any other artwork you've come across tonight. Who knows what else could have been misread. Good idea. But until then, I might have a couple more things to look over. Of course, he was trying to hide the diamond he had stolen. He stashed it in the air duct, but he couldn't have come up with a backup plan on the fly, right? About the diamond. I saw you open the air duct over there. I know you've already found the diamond, so you don't have to be so dramatic. Once you got that photo, I knew my time was up, so cuff me. Luckily for you, this case isn't closed yet. I have a few threads that still need to pull, so you have a bit longer until I draw conclusions. Whatever you say, Detective, but I don't see how else this could go. Before I go, I have to ask, how did you do it? It was easier than you'd think. Well, not too easy considering we couldn't pull it off. Punk opened the display and I took the diamond. Then he went upstairs to create a distraction for me. After that, I had to wait for the floor to be empty and make my way out. But I heard the gunshot. We agreed it was only a last resort. I knew he wouldn't have killed anyone, but it made me hesitate. When I decided to leave him behind, the doors were locked. The security system was supposed to recognize him, but I guess it didn't work. So I moved to the backup plan and tried to wait it out. I see. I have more questions about this situation, so there's no sense in stopping now. Why'd you do it? What kind of question is that, Detective? If I have a really good reason, it's not like it'll suddenly be okay. No, probably not, but it can help me build a better picture of what's happened, so please be honest with me. Well, it's worth a lot of money, you know, split 2 ways, even 3, 4, 5 ways, that's still a ton. This is gonna sound so cliche, but with that kind of money, the punk could have finally paid for his surgery. Surgery? What sort of condition? Something with his heart. I don't know much about the intimate details. They don't bleed right. They have a weak pulse. Some muscle deficiency. Look, I'm not a doctor. Frankly, I don't hold up well under anything medical. Just bad, okay? This was the only way we could really fix it, I think. Sounds more redeemable than buying a tropical island somewhere, don't you think? But whatever, it doesn't matter now. Perhaps it doesn't. You said you were friends. Would you mind telling me a bit more? I don't know what there is to say. If you're just fishing for more evidence, well, I don't have anything to say either. No, I was hoping you could just tell me more about him. Would that be okay? Like what? He was a punk through and through. All my other friends from university said he was just a bad influence. Maybe they were right. He apparently got me tied up in all this, didn't he? No, that's not fair. Besides, I've known him for far longer than anyone, so what do they really know? How long did you know each other? How did you meet? We were just kids, meeting like any two kids do. I don't even remember what it was exactly. Probably trading cards or a video game, kid stuff. Stuff that bullies would make fun of you for, at least, until they got a swift right hook to the nose. Heh. He had your back, and I had his. Enough to hold him back. Detective, I just don't want to hold on to this right now. It's hard to look at. Could you take it? Doesn't matter right now, of course. You shouldn't blame yourself for what happened. I know it's not that easy, but I hope you can trust me on that. There's a few more things we can go over if you're up for it. Okay, detective, if you say so. Okay, so about your painting. Happened to find this alongside the gemstone. Did you have anything to do with it? You have to trust me, detective. This time I'm telling you the truth when I say I have no idea why that was in there. So you noticed it was in there earlier this evening? I did, but there wasn't enough time to think about it. Has it stumped you as much as it stumped me? Unfortunately, yes, for now. After I make some inquiries with you, I'm going to go back to investigating it. How did you know to hide the diamond in the sculpture gallery? We decided on it beforehand. I know it might seem like we were just amateurs since everything fell apart, but we gave it some thought. Oh, look at me. What am I even saying? Trying to justify I'm good at being criminal? The truth is we were hired to do it, but only the punk ever communicated with them, and they were prepared to deal with pretty much every contingency. They knew it all except for the security system. Well, they told us about it, but the punk figured out how it actually worked, so we couldn't get around it. I hacked his ID into the system remotely. It seemed really easy, but that's why we had a backup plan. And that was, if I couldn't get to the front doors or they were locked, I was supposed to go into the sculpture gallery and put it in the air duct. Whoever hired us was willing to have someone pick it up later, but that's all we were told. So presumably they would have had other means of entry. Perhaps they just needed someone to get it out of the display. Whatever you think, detective. Like I said, we had instructions and it seemed like they had a lot of contingencies. Not some amateur thieves is right. In the air duct, I think is what I'm looking for. A painting was also hid the diamond in the air duct. Stashed the gemstone in the air duct where this is the sculpture exhibit air duct where the painting was also stashed. So he hid the gemstone in the sculpture exhibit air duct where a painting was also stashed. According to the guide, that painting was counterfeit. I'm just basing off of context clues of what I think these words are. I don't know what the story is here for this part. Except for now, because I don't know what this is talking about. I think this is what the mouse was just telling me, that the gemstone was going to be stolen. The glass case was going to be opened. The alarm was going to be tripped by the punk when he opened the glass case. Or when he stole the gemstone. The blank could be like... Oh, that's this second part is going to be the student hacked. The glass case could be opened. Yeah. Alright, cool. That was what he told me, and then the alarm was going to be tripped by the punk when he opened the glass case. Famous showcase piece of the Kronenberg Museum and subject to an attempted heist, the gargantuan gemstone, said to be worth an unspeakable value and of great historical and cultural importance. It's been displayed in many exhibitions and had many owners since it was unearthed. In fact, it has been the subject of many attempted heists in that time as well. Some believed it to be a cursed artifact, but detailing that further would be like opening a big can of tuna. As for its context in today's events, the student attempted to steal it again. His plan, however, went sideways, forcing him to stash it within an air duct, attempting to avoid prosecution in the fallout. The curator says, Detective, I trust the investigation's going well. Of course, I have several things to discuss if we could. About the diamond. Have you finally figured out what happened? To an extent, I have. You'll be pleased to know that I've recovered the jewel. Oh, my wonderful. We return to its podium and we can call it a night. Unfortunately, more questions have been raised. I'm going to need to keep it for a bit and continue my investigation. Better not be some bureaucratic tomfoolery you're pulling. Although I suppose the display case was broken, so the diamond might be more safe in your care for now. Appreciate your understanding. I don't want to act too hastily and allow something like this to occur again. That is a concern I hadn't considered. Fine, but don't push your luck. You've already been sniffing around outside my authority, and I've excused it thus far. I do what must be done in the name of true justice, however long it takes. Although the officer probably has some crucial evidence ready that could speed this investigation up, curator. Before I go check on that, but I'd like to discuss other matters. You know, there are more pieces of this statue laying about. Perhaps I should look over one more. Of course. I knew there's something else here. Second examination was necessary. There's no use dwelling on that now. This is an indication of a forgery, but I bet the guide will know more. About this artwork, I have my suspicions with this one, but I'd like you to confirm. Are these pieces of the miniature Maui statue? Moai statue? You had a right to be suspicious, detective. Look at this sculptor stamp. It must also be a fake. What's left of it, anyway. That makes two counterfeit art pieces here in the museum, and this one was on display. You really think it could have been replaced by someone? You must have some idea. At this point, I think it's clear. There was something else going on behind the scenes, but I'm not sure what. For now, I have a couple of things we could go over instead. So the statue that was shot and fell from the balcony was also... However, according to the blank, his blank was blank, or wasn't a blank to be blank. We get more information from the police officer about the evidence I sent him. They just cracked it, and there's a lot here. Bad news is there's far too much for me to relay over the phone. Oh, officer, you don't have to come over here to the museum again, it's fine. I wasn't planning on it. The lab told me I could, under no circumstances, print out all these logs and take them to you. Something about being 8 months of this station's paper budget, but it's searchable at least. You have anything you want? Anything you think I could cross-reference with the logs? That might give us a good place to start. I don't think so. I've been looking for. From the looks of it, there's timestamps, exhibits, registered aliases, among other things. It's pretty difficult to parse. Searching for a registered username would probably be the easiest, so I guess I'll call back when I have something like that. I'll be here, detective. I decided to pick up an overnight shift so I could keep on helping out. Like, am I gonna find a username in all this museum mess now? Maybe in that back room? Where would I find username? Maybe there's more information I can get from the other guys? Haven't been to this room upstairs again. This caused the alarm to be tripped. So something in the ID logs is gonna tell me that whatever this word is. I need to maybe talk to the mouse again about what happened with the monkey, the punk. They were supposed to meet and then they were gonna steal the diamond. Then they started arguing. Punk pulled out a gun. Two of them fought. The mouse can give me his username? Maybe instead of opening the glass case, it stole the gemstone? Okay, I guess I didn't need to get that information from the ID logs, because I just guessed that it was this. That his ID had been replaced, causing the alarm to be tripped. I don't understand what this first part is talking about, though. The blank was going to be blank by the blank when he blanked the blank. The glass case was going to be opened. The alarm was going to be tripped by the punk when he stole the gemstone. Student hacked the ID of the punk into the alarm so that the glass case could be opened. Oh, I have to find his username on his stuff he had in his pockets. XX Monkey Wrench XX in your database search. So ID might open the gemstone display case earlier tonight. Okay. It was then removed. Whoever did the removing was only registered a few minutes prior. The new mystery user opened 3 exhibits tonight, none of which were for the diamond. Huh. Can you tell anything from their credentials? Or the username is just a jumbled mess of characters? Maybe we could decode it, but I have a feeling that we won't get us very far. We're working against someone who has this whole plot perfectly planned. You're right, it won't be that simple. You say so. As always, I'll be here if you need me, detective. Felt fish on a string. Every time I get close, it gets yanked away, huh? The alarm logs say the student intended to meet with the punk, but it wasn't just for a stroll through the exhibits. They meant to make sure the hacked security system would let the punk open the glass case and allow the student to take the diamond. Maybe it's met the punk? It seems like I'm on the solve it step, but I don't know what they're trying to get me to do with the first one. Oh, he has more to say. Hey, he's watching you. Yes, right. About this ID card. You wouldn't happen to recognize anything about this, would you? I do not that I could tell you much. I've seen the logo before, overly designed, especially for a low-tier biker club. A biker club? What do you mean? I'm sure you're familiar with the concept, detective. There's names for them. Anything from tuning their bikes and going on rides to slinging high-grade oil, if you catch my meaning, or anything in between. I have to assume that that bite's bigger than you could chew in one night, detective. Especially since you've already got your paws full here. Ha ha ha. I do, don't I? In pursuit of resolving this mess, I've got some more inquiries to make. ID for a biker club. So, I guess I'll go asking more people about the biker club ID. Know anything about this medication? Not for any particular reason, such as your advanced age. You weren't supposed to say that last part out. Aren't allowed, detective, huh? Let me take a look. Yeah, I think so. Might have been one of those drugs my doctor recommended. Would they prescribe it for you? Remember? They didn't prescribe it. First of all, I don't need to depend on a bunch of pills. Certainly don't want to keep track of them all. Sure, what did they attempt to prescribe it for? Blood pressure, I think. Doctor mentioned something about anxiety. I was already tuned out. Punk was going to be met by the student when he stole the gemstone. I'm making progress. Yeah. So it is gemstone. Punk was going to be met by the blank when he stole the gemstone. Okay, so those two words are not correct. Blank by the blank. Revealed by the alarm. Bring a closed case, but this is a real mess. It's like I'm being led on some obscure scavenger hunt. There'll be a massive conspiracy, no catnaps until we can say for sure. Okay. Time to gather some more information. To have their blank to the blank, blank, the blank, plan to have some blank, blank, with the blank, and then blank. They were in order to the blank, from the blank, the blank, the blank, blank. Oh my god. I don't know what any of this is. There's so many blanks. Wait, he's not dead? Oh my god. There's a chalk outline of him. Oh my god. There's a podcaster over there. She filled me in on what's been happening since I was out. I think I'm supposed to do an interview about it. Didn't listen too well to that either. I think I've got a solid excuse. Oh, of course, how are you feeling? I've been better, been worse. I should probably get checked out, but I'm sure it's fine. It's like I faked my own death. That's some real underground black market stuff right there. That's certainly had an interesting wrinkle. Would you be open to answering some questions about what you remember? Whatever, man, I'll do my best. Were you? Oh, you want to run through all the questions. Alright, I just figured since you've been at this while, you'd know enough by now. At this point, not only are you a suspect, you're a perpetrator and also a valuable witness, so yes, I would likely need to run through all the questions. So you got to the bottom of all this, huh? Guess I shouldn't be too surprised. I know you and the student were hired by a client to steal the Optimus diamond, if that's what you mean. Damn, here I was hoping that maybe I could still take the fall for him. At least not literally this time. From the sound of it, you two are quite close. Familiar territory? Not for him, for me, sure, but this job was best suited for two, and he had the skills necessary. Not to mention it was a huge score, so splitting it with him was easier to swallow. And he wouldn't stab me in the back. Other associates, does this include your client? The network detective, but nah, the client, I never heard of him before. What were you doing? Leading up to everything, I came to the museum alone, paid admission for myself and the student. I know he wouldn't have any money on him. Wandered around, checked everybody out. Met him where the diamond was. Went over the whole plan again just to be safe. Then when you decided to instigate an argument with the old timer? As a distraction, yeah, but I don't know, he was a bit too eager to start something. He's the one who brought a gun. Look, I never meant to use it. It was like a backup of a backup plan. At least, last resort. That old timer surprised me, so I just wanted to get him to back down is all. I need you to know that I never really intended to use it against anyone, just a little bit of intimidation. How'd that go for you? Not great. That's on me. At least you recognize that now. Let's continue on the rest of the evening then. No use holding back, detective. After I pulled out my gun, that old timer really started to fight. Kept my distance, but he was adamant about getting physical, so the brawl spilled out into the courtyard balcony. He got the advantage, shoved me against the wall. Before I knew it, they were struggling over the grip of the gun. I wasn't planning on using it, but I couldn't tell you who really pulled the trigger. Luckily, it didn't hit anyone. One way or the other, the recoil put me off balance, and he broke my grip against the stanchion. It was empty, so I let it drop into the courtyard. The rest is a bit of a blur, detective. Must have taken a good hit. Next thing I know, I'm waking up on the floor. Broadly speaking, that lines up. I have some other inquiries. What do you do besides getting mixed up in this sort of situation? I do work for a body shop, you know, for bikes and cars. Is that how you got involved with the biker club? In a roundabout way, yeah. Everybody knows everybody in those circles. And that network you mentioned, is this connected to that? There's overlap, but if you're after the client, they're not regular fare. I don't know much about them. They had all the walls up. The student said that they provided some pretty crucial information about the museum. You don't think anything of that? Unless they pay us for it. Clients bring their own intel, so no, seems standard. They didn't know about the security system, is that correct? Yeah, I thought that was weird, but we figured it out. The alarm wasn't our issue, we were just unlucky. Things went south. Seems that way, but there may be more details we can work out about why. No use holding back, detective. That's your ID card. Fortunately, I can't return it just yet, but I was curious. It's for a biker club, correct? But yeah, you could call it that. A couple of guys at the garage got me into it because a bunch of the old bars have gone under by now. Really likes it, and they put a stupid fake name on our ID, but they serve drinks and got darts, so I don't complain too much. Monkey wrench seemed fairly on the nose to me. Nothing other than formality. All of us treat it like a joke. Folks around the place want to have that speakeasy vibe, but it doesn't really work. Student did. Told you the skills necessary, didn't I? He's a wizard with a computer. I don't understand what he did. Something with a backdoor and bad encryption. He found a way to remote in and made easy work of it. You write the rap sheet tonight, you know? There's always a risk, detective. Just didn't pan out this time. As we always say, we'd either get rich together or go down together. Just the hopes would be the former. Read that one before. Some other inquiries before I get back to it. No use holding back, detective. Problems with the encryptions. There's no way I could have dealt with it myself. He's trying to make a decent living with all that computer stuff. Figured it was worth a shot. You asked him to tamper with the alarm of a prestigious institution, and he's immediately on board. We've been inseparable since we were kids. A few years ago, he found out what I was up to on the side and didn't disown me. I was against it at first because I didn't want him getting involved in this type of work. He was adamant he could get it done. Besides, he wouldn't have let me pay off all those loans he's got unless he earned his cut. I knew that for sure. Did your client know anything about the student hacking the security system? Never said they did, but as long as we got the job done, who cares? From what I can tell, I think they did, but I have more inquiries to make before I can be sure. The student didn't know why. Was this part of your plan you were aware of? Whoa, no way. We were told to come in and get the jewel, detective. Didn't hear anything about a painting. This client of yours. Did they inform you of their intentions with the gemstone? Not really. I didn't ask. But do I really have to? It's pretty obvious. Setting up for a big payday, don't you think? Punk's testimony tells us that he didn't die. Is he still alive to testify? To have their debt to the investor repaid. The curator planned to have some and then sold. Art replaced with a counterfeit. I think it's going to be the curator selling the art so that they can try to keep the museum afloat, but it's just a matter of filling in the blanks and answering the questions. Got that green. It was the blank of the blank who was blank. I've gotten through the first 4 pages of this book. And then you have to talk to all the characters and read everything and figure out what happened and then fill these pages in. So far we know that the punk and the student, who are like a monkey and a mouse, were working together. And they were trying to steal a diamond. Somebody hired them to do it. And they hid the diamond after they stole it. They had to put it in an air vent and come back and get it later because they couldn't get out in time before the alarm went off. And they had hacked the ID of the punk into the alarm system so that they could get the glass case open, but apparently it had been messed around with by the time they went to do the crime. There's a big debt piling up against the museum. The curator has been borrowing money to keep the museum going. So that seems like a motive for the curator to be trying to steal art. There's been a bunch of art being taken out of the museum. Counterfeits are being put in place. So there's a question of who's doing that, and I'm guessing it's the curator because they have the motive and the means to try to steal things and replace them with counterfeits. There's also a podcaster messing around with the crime scene because she wants to have stuff to give away to her audience. So that's creating red herrings or distractions, but I think she's mostly just innocent but being distracting. There's a tourist who had a camera and they took a picture. They weren't supposed to be able to taking pictures, but they let the podcaster borrow their camera and they dropped the camera when the fight was going on. There was a fight between the old timer and the punk upstairs in the museum, and then the punk ended up getting pushed off of the ledge and falling. It seemed like it was supposed to be to his death, but then it turned out to just be not a ruse exactly, but it just looked like he was dead, but he was actually still alive. That's on this 5th page now. About having the debt to the investor paid, the curator planned to have some artwork replaced with a counterfeit, and then stashed maybe. So the green lines mean that it's all good and I've got everything figured out. Yellow squigglies is like I'm part way there, but there's still stuff to figure out. These puzzles are a little bit difficult to even understand like what they're talking about at first. I don't know if there's any more info I can go around and get. Probably is some more people I can talk to. Monkey is the punk. Raccoon's the podcaster. Old timer's a wolf or dog or whatever. The fancy alligator's the critic. Frog is the artist. Rabbit is the guide. Mouse is the student. And the pig is the tourist. You got all this evidence. Already inspected all that. Looks like there's no new info to gather right now. I need to look over my notes to see if there's any inconsistencies. Maybe I can figure out some more info here. This is forgot. They had met before. It was the blank of maybe the father, artist, the mechanic, who was dead. Because I think that's true. In turn, the blank became the blank of the blank, so the blank would be blank when he blanked the blank. I need more info for these things. Maybe I can get more from talking to people. Maybe there's something where he wouldn't trigger the alarm when he stole the artwork. I know what else is stolen. There's a painting I can go look at upstairs. Best Buddies by Keith Haring. Such a positive message of love, no wonder someone would want a replica. Still I wonder why a replica would be here in the museum. One of these two could speak, maybe they'd have the answer. Okay. So this is one of the stolen pieces. How I can discover what other forgeries there are. Called Blindfold on Marble Bust by an unknown artist. Babooned, James Babooned. In Pursuit of Wings by an unknown artist. How much of ourselves are relinquished in pursuit of our desires? Oh, I know this this plate well, don't I? Manny Long Legs by Louis Bourgeois. Being small and behind glass, I can feel my fur standing straight up. Yeah, it's a creepy looking guy. Vertical Constellation with Blob by Alexander Calamander. The whale. The lion? Maybe it's actually I don't see anything. Nostalgia on Cathode Ray 2 by Hayao Miyazebra. Gourd by Yayoi Kuswana. Never been a big gourd fan. Are they supposed to look this diseased? The plaque reads, Petals of Metal, circa 1900. Old friend has something like this hanging in his flat. Plaque reads, Metal Angles by an unknown artist. They dropped a bunch of cutlery in their garbage disposal. This one, Balloon Dog by Jeff Raccoons. Never get too close, I was never declawed. Plaque reads, Patterned Ceramic Squares by Kaiser Sued Swan. Love is in the Litter by Bang. Mostly Gray Kana by Georgia O'Beef. Composition with dark gray, light gray, lighter gray, white, and yellow by Piet Mandrial. Water Lily Pond by Claude Monet. Reminds me of my days as a kitten. Oh, how I miss you. Black Reed's Head of a Sheep by Pablo Picasso. The dichotomy of Ram and you inside us all. It's the exquisite. This is Dolly. Black Reed's The Temptation of Saint Bernard by Collie. Okay. What is it about very tall elephants potentially stomping on him that was so tempting for Saint Bernard? Actually, I think I get it. What? This looks Japanese. Black reads Lake Contours Hakone by Hiro Shippey. I hope to see the other 52 works by this artist someday. It's strange they would split up the collection at all, honestly. Hiro Shippey. Might as well check out all the art. The Tower of Bleedle by Peter Brugoat. Mother Goose may have struck the tower as it reached the sky, and yet upon our earthly wings we fly. Composition 7 by Vasily Angarinsky. The only artist that can perfectly capture the mystique of a grand piano falling from the window and onto the sidewalk. Les Lapines by Edouard. I looked at these ones before. I didn't look at these ones though. Two Deers Within Me by Frida Kahlo. Never knew deer folk could do something like this anatomically. Oh wait, it's symbolic. That's on me. Black reads The Hatching of Venus by Sandro Bono. Legend says she was born from a giant scallop shell, but for avian folk, I suppose it's not terribly far from the typical egg. I looked at the bean. I looked at the art is dead. I looked at this. Let's see what other art is there. I don't know if I'll get any clues, but I do kind of just want to read all the art because some of the names are funny. Tylosaurus, skeleton of the Cretaceous period. Because of terrifying creatures like this that I'll never go into the ocean. No, it's not about all the waters, so don't even ask. Oh. I think I'm looking around. There's something else up here. Like reads Pterodon, skeleton of the Cretaceous period. Trying to tell me this isn't a pterodactyl? What's next? They had feathers? Ridiculous. Bad news for you, Mr. Detective Cat. Black reads our solar system for illustrative purposes only, not to scale. Oh. This really was built to scale. Jupiter would probably be on the other side of town. Way past my office, I bet. Oh, I mean like the distances not being to scale? This air duct has been witness to some pivotal moments of the evening. Let's get it open. Just one more screw and got it. Look at that, a stone-faced statue. Never knew the exhibit in one piece. This is identical. No strange stamp on the other side. It's safe to assume this is the original, and the one down there was a replica. Something else is in here too. Not canvas though, it just looks like paper. It's a note neatly written, but I'm not sure what it means. Back on a classic trail of clues, detective. What does that say? I found an odd note alongside an old statue. While the statue appears to be identical to the nearby exhibit, the note has a unique string of 10 numbers. It doesn't look like a phone number. It's too obscure to run through any police database. Could there be someone that recognizes it? Okay. This is the authentic statue. Okay. Egyptian cat. Sarcophagus of Tutankhamun. Despite being the youngest puppy pharaoh, he was still a big cat fan. Who could blame him? The plaque reads Statue of a Small Horus, circa 3000 BC. Classic depiction of my favorite avian god. Just very tiny. I think Horus is a cool god. I like learning more about Egyptian mythology. It's always fun, always interesting. Plaque reads Ceremonial Masks, circa 1880. Why is this in Philadelphia? Rug of Crystal Trading Post, circa 1900. Handmade, intricate. Huh. Very cool. Apophylo Belvedere, circa 130. Depicts him as a horse. Classic example of trying to erase his own oxen heritage. Black reads Terracotta Tiger, circa 210 BC. Just one warrior immortalized in clay, but historians believe over 8,000 exist. Watched the documentary, very educational, until they said they'd wake up and take over the planet for their alien overlords. Okay. Rabbits of the court in the garden, circa 1700. Corinthian black-spotted pottery, circa 600 BC. The Greeks had a way of life, very smelly, and I'm sure very sophisticated. Blackbeard's Nataraja, circa 900. I remember visiting some distant family when I was a kitten. My father took me to a temple with a statue like this. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Anything out in this area I haven't checked out? On the Essence of Color by Sir Robert Crookstein von Lillipad de Wart IV. The Nasty World of Noir Grey be a crystal of color. I think I checked out all this art, all this. Did this whole room. I think I've seen all the art now. Let's see what's going on here now. Maybe the rabbit can tell me what's going on with this 10-digit number. String of 10 random numbers. Do you recognize them? No, we have internal identifications for the exhibits here, but I'm not familiar with anything in this format. Wishful thinking, I suppose. It's never that easy these days, huh? You say so, detective. I'm sure there's someone who knows. Let's hope so. Okay. You know, Mouse? You were messing with the computers. Do these mean anything to you? These 10 numbers? Several things. Empty wallets, sore shoulders, and all-nighters. Poured so much time and money into numbers like that for one purpose, keeping the exploitative system of education alive. Textbook after worthless, heavy, and incomprehensible textbook. Are you insinuating that this configuration of numbers is for identifying books? Do you happen to know which book specifically? Don't be ridiculous, detective. First of all, I don't have the mental fortitude to remember any of them, but there are infinite books out there. Okay. So I gotta go look it up in the database. Oh yeah, the bookstore. Bookgator on second, what can I do for you? Hello, sorry to bother you again. Detective, I didn't expect you this time. Have you gotten yourself into another mess? Luckily no, but I am unraveling a pretty complex case, an actual crime, and I've got this clue I'm not sure what to make of. Can't disclose too much, but I've got this series of numbers here, and reason to believe it's for identifying a book. Does 0385 504209 bring up anything? It's for the Viper code. Oh. It's Leonardo da Viper. Let's say hypothetically if I didn't. Mystery novel about religious history, famous artwork like La Mère Lisa and so on. That'd be exactly what I needed here. Painting is hanging in the museum's courtyard on the upper level balcony. I should go check it out. And the nearest air duct too. Yeah, I mean maybe that was already stolen. Portrait of Adele Blaubert by Gustave Klimt. I don't think I had seen that one yet. Just like I would do with a good book on a warm summer night, let's crack open this air duct. Rolled up canvas and it looks just like the Mère Lisa up there. I can confirm this with the guide, but I bet the one in my paws is authentic. Now could I forget there's another note. Definitely a pattern, but who left this trail for us to follow? Hope there's an answer, but I suppose the possibility of a dead end always exists. No reason to give up until then, no? So is it just another number? Okay. These are coordinates though. He's watching you. Let's get to the topic at hand. Do you know about this note? I'm following a trail of clues, but I've hit a bit of a dead end. Can you make any sense out of this string of numbers? Detective, you come to the right place. And this here's what experts in the tourism business call longitude and latitude. And no tourism professional would be caught out in the cold without their global positioning device. Just gotta punch them in. 29, 58, 31, 08. Don't forget the duo, of course. Ah, there it is. Only about a 13-hour flight. When do you want to book the tickets, detective? Sooner than later. So it's the pyramids. I've already been to the pyramids. The pyramids, that must mean the antiques exhibit. I don't think I'll join you on that trip. Too much of a trick for me. A very funny joke. Alright, let me go look at that. It's a small horse statue. Okay. So, I'm gonna check everything, review all my notes, and then try to arrive at conclusions. The guide will also want updates. This is the final stretch. Now, what's this place called? This is the antiques exhibit. Is the sculpture exhibit. I guess I'll go talk to the guide real quick about the forgeries. That's a shame. You've recovered 2 almost stolen pieces of art. Detective, nothing to shake a snout at if you ask me. Or still victory, but unless you can get them to talk, we might be at a dead end. I've been thinking clearly someone was trying to steal the art, right? They'd swap in fakes from the art air duct and no one's the wiser. From what you've told me, no air duct had more than one piece except in here, not to mention we haven't found a counterfeit diamond. Maybe they really aren't related. 2 heists in one day would be peculiar, but not impossible. Besides, don't you have some fancy forensics equipment you could use? All the extra evidence now. Really something's there to be done. You're right, a great detective never lets the trail freeze over. I'll have to ask the officer what could be done, but in the meantime, would you mind answering some other questions? Okay. The forgery frame is all done now. 2 statues and 2 paintings. I'm not really sure about the time, the order. The last one that I found was the statue from the antiquities exhibit. I'll just work backwards. That one was from the painting from the courtyard. And there was a statue. What else have anything to say before I try to solve this mystery? I need to go talk to the frog once more. Try to review some more information, see what else I can get. I'm not really following what some of these are setting me up to solve. Let's talk about the old portrait. On the topic of that age portrait, nothing has changed. Still not at liberty to disclose any personal information. Besides, I see no relation to tonight's events. So do you have something else to discuss, or are you going to get back to work? Staff dinner from a couple years back. Oh boy, the food was good. Money bags there, paid for the whole thing. That nice. On the photo there, he was a mechanic. He just kept ordering. It was impressive how much he could put away. Any more info from the police now? Alongside some authentic pieces. Wondering if the department has any equipment for analysis. If it's possible to lift some paw prints, we might be able to deduce some important information. Compare them to those registered in the alarm system's logs. That could really triangulate the puppet master. Officer, you there? Hello. Got stuck in traffic, detective. Thanks for being patient. Well, as I was saying, I imagine this process is going to be arduous. Arduous? No way. I've got the mobile analyzer with me right here in the cruiser. Technology's come a long way since you were in school, detective. Get a baseline first, something we can use as an incriminating reference. Luckily, with all those art pieces I've collected, we've got several to compare. Let's see what it brings back. Alright, button, slider, switch, and now scan this here. Wait a couple seconds, and done. We're in business, detective. I've got a couple of prints identified across these items, and a few sets of them appear on each. Question is, what other evidence should I use for comparison? Ideally, something touched by the same suspect as all the artwork. I think it should be the curator's documents. I'll kick out the machine and see if this finds a match. Pause cross, detective. I found a match. Oh wait, only on the authentic pieces. Should have expected that, right? Plus, the curator wouldn't have to disguise their identity in the alarm system, and their alibi checks out too. Keys. Does the guard stealing everything? 2 matches. The authentic pieces have a set of prints that match the keys. They're not the forgeries. The second set of prints is on everything. That's your culprit. Unfortunately, there's no way to know which print belongs to who. The guard isn't involved with the museum's artistic business, and the curator's alibi is fully corroborated. That means these keys don't belong to him, they belong to the guide who misplaced her set a week ago. How did the artist have them? He was counting the bones of the various skeletons from the balcony of the natural history exhibit. And when the argument started in the fine art gallery, he decided to head downstairs away from the noise. Picture that I can look at now, finally? In white tail in the sculpture exhibit. The argument might have already begun in the fine art gallery. He still had to finish what he started. It was only after the counterfeit painting was framed and hung that he could make his way downstairs. The gun was fired up there. He did come across it was a bit odd. Counting dinosaur bones was a bit of a leap. He swapped the statue on the balcony. He was working on swapping everything. Mechanic, the artist, was hired. Curator revealed that they met before? No, the guard revealed. Became the curator of the museum, so the alarm would be dropped. No, that's nothing about this is right. The punk forgot. Curator forgot that they had met before. I guess he didn't mention anything about the meeting. I wonder if I can talk to anybody else about this. Have you solved the case? Not quite, but I have some questions. Okay, so about this case, there's just a couple threads left, and it's difficult to tie them together. That was until I started to notice his connections. Oh, please enlighten me, detective. Begin with the obvious. Someone here tonight attempted to steal the Optimus Diamond. Tasks that require sufficient distraction. The museum was equipped with state-of-the-art security system. This would have thwarted their plan unless they were warned ahead of time. Perhaps even prepared. Obvious indeed, but your interpretation is astute, detective. It's just the beginning. The gemstone wasn't the only target, but considering its value, why would they need anything else? Unless the diamond heist was a misdirection so that someone else could swap art pieces with forged copies. But that begs the question, why wasn't the diamond replaced with a counterfeit? Aside from the fact it's unlikely it could be reproduced, it's more likely to assume the diamond wasn't a misdirection, but a distraction. I believe the jewel thief wasn't aware of the other fluorescence, a textbook example of a framed criminal. I would be lying if I said I wasn't enamored with your line of thinking, but I sense you've hit a roadblock. Oh, I did. That connective string I mentioned, the second thief. Then suddenly everything clicked into place. Everything, even more threads than I originally realized. The former staff, contract, the keys, the notes. Any half-rate detective wouldn't have seen this puzzle through the pieces. So please, since you've carefully laid them out for me, consider this your opportunity to confess. Yes, it was me. I'm the so-called second thief, detective. I knew I could count on you to figure it out. I'll give you a moment to reflect on that, and then I'll freely answer any questions you have. Okay, he cracked right away. So, about the curator. Did this scheme of yours have anything to do with them? It had everything to do with them, detective. Only half of it was mine. The other half was theirs. They hired me to carry it out, and they never realized who I was. What do you mean? Why would they hire someone to steal their own exhibits? You've heard about this investor, haven't you? That curator signed with them a few years ago, and it's dug them into quite the hole. Oh yeah, okay. I was already on this trail, but now they're coming out and telling me about it. I've never heard their true motivation on the matter. How else were they going to pay off the enormous debts? And if all their precious exhibits were relinquished as collateral, what's the point in saving an empty museum? So they'd replace only a few with counterfeits and hope they sell enough to cover the sunken investments. Now you understand, detective. It's vile, twisted, and an absolute betrayal of everyone who ever cared about this place. I can see your point, but I have a feeling there's more to discuss. Okay, so about today's events. So about the punk, how did he get mixed up in all this? When I caught wind of the curator's schemes, I formulated my own plan but required assistance. I would need to hire a thief of my own, one who wouldn't know an impossible job even if it yanked their tail. So what, you were going to carry out the curator's heist and have someone else ruin it? I had no other choice. It would have been more difficult than less successful if I had thrown the job myself. And the student, an interesting surprise. I only hired the punk, but apparently they were a package deal. They might have gotten away with it, hacking their way into the alarm system, but I made sure those two hooligans would absolutely unravel under their pressure. You did your part too, detective. I can't thank you enough for that. What was my part exactly? Someone had to make sense of all this mess, follow the breadcrumbs all the way to the deep-seated injustices within. You really are as good as they say, you know that? I'm not sure how to take that, but I think there might be a few details left to discuss before I close this case. Whatever it takes, detective. Okay, so during what really happened, I found all the art pieces you swapped, but I'd assume you were up to more than that. Besides a few small ways I could tip the scales, the plan was largely operating of its own accord. There's no sense in being secretive now, so what did you do? Well, when the guard came through the courtyard, I didn't intend to get in his way. But he really didn't see me, and I didn't make an effort to move. Of course, it was plausible he would have dropped his keys then. Those keys I gave you, most of them were random scraps. In fact, the only one that mattered belonged to the guide. Right, I came to that conclusion as well. Did I mention I saw the student with the gemstone in the foyer just after he had realized the doors had been locked down? According to the plan, I would not have known the student was involved, but from this balcony, I noticed him and the punk setting up to steal the diamond. You really were quite the orchestrator in all this, huh? There's always another question for you to answer. Whatever it takes, detective. Okay, so that's everything from the frog. We needed the word sold. Okay. I was trying to put like paid in there earlier, but paid wasn't working. Okay, so they were... The blank became the blank of the museum, so the blank would be replaced, blank, 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 okay. Statue from the antiques exhibit. I got most of this down now. Painting from the courtyard, statue from the natural history balcony, maybe? The painting from the courtyard. Statue from the natural history balcony, the painting from the courtyard. The statue, and the fine art painting. Okay, so that is painting. Statue from the natural history balcony, the painting from the courtyard, the statue. Making progress. So, the statue from the natural history balcony, the painting from the courtyard. Maybe this will give me the chance to figure out what this other word is. Sculpture. So these two words I think are still not correct. Statue from natural history balcony, and then the painting from the courtyard. Became the accomplice. No more info I can gather. Fine art painting. Oh, it's an artifact. That's what it was. Just need one more word. The counterfeit painting. I knew what 4 objects it was. I just couldn't figure out what words they wanted me to use here. Because they described it as a statue of Horus. The system of puzzles is a little unsatisfying. So I know what happened, but then I just don't know what words they want me to use where. So I think this is about the punk getting caught and having that reveal the artist. So the alarm would be tripped. Okay, so I'm on the right track here. The artist became the something of the punk. Okay, so client is actually correct here. Artist became the client of the punk, so the alarm would be tripped when he stole the gemstone. Ah, yes. Good. Ah, I knew I was onto something. When I received the call for this one, I never would have expected how deep it could go. I have all the major points covered now, but some of the suspects might have more to say about it. Maybe I should be open to interpreting this at more than face value, but technically I have enough information for a final verdict. Be careful, go. There's no going back once I make a decision. Okay. Following suspects are hereby considered under arrest of law at the jurisdiction of the Feline Forensics Private Detective Agency as substantiated by probable cause. Order is valid upon less than or equal to 6 suspects by judgment of the detective and is not subject to alteration following submission. Oh. Okay, well then the curator, the artist, the punk, and the student. I think that's actually all of the criminals. The podcaster did a little bit of crime. A little obstructing of justice. I guess the tourist did take some photos, but I don't know if that's really a crime. It's more of just like a kind of being a, you know, in violation of the museum's policy, but not like a imprisonable offense. I'd say the old timers got into a fist fight, set off a gunshot in a museum. Punk and the old timer probably both could be brought up on charges for that. Student and the punk definitely just tried to steal art. Curator tried to have art stolen. Artist was doing some stealing of art for the curator. Podcaster was obstructing justice and also stealing things from people. That her podcast would have cool stuff to give away. Yeah, I think my conclusion is all 6 of these people have some kind of charges that can be brought against them. Okay, just looking at what non-secret achievements there are left in Steam. The only one left that's not a secret is to complete the game, so I guess I'll just do that. When I arrived at the museum tonight, I didn't imagine I'd be leaving with more than half the suspects in cuffs. With broad scheme to heist plan, assault to petty theft, there isn't anything I can let slide, no matter how minor. It's been quite the evening, but it's time to call this in and close the case. So this is them, detective? The culprits behind our museum mystery? Right, so any last words before the officer takes you away? I wouldn't dare sully this moment in my heart. I know I had my reasons. Moreover, I know I'll never be half the criminal of these fools. Big talk for someone who's headed to the same doghouse as us. And you speak as if you have not simply fallen into the ploy of puppeteers. Oh, yeah, what's this supposed to mean? Don't give us some holier than thou now. Oh man, this is gonna make for some amazing subscriber-only content. You all just shut your dang traps already? Ugh. At least on that we can agree. Well, that's it, detective. Case closed. Yeah, as it turns out, there's only one thing you can't keep in a museum. And that's the truth. Alright, that was fun. The puzzles were a little bit, didn't even really know what I was supposed to be doing some of the time. Took me some, because there was so little info in the just blank and then blank and then blank is blank by the blank because blank. Just so much to, you start piecing together what could theoretically be a sentence that would fit here. And then some of them I think I figured out ahead of time just because there was only certain words that would make sense, even without me having read the dialogue or clues or whatever. Oh, they reopened the museum. That's cute. I liked the art style. I liked the football head cat, and then having the chiseled looks. And overall, it was a fun game. played for what, 6-8 hours, something like that. I think it was. What does my Steam think? It said 6 hours, so yeah, not too long. All right, well, I'm gonna end the recording here. Back with more mysteries in the near future.